Important update about YouTube playlists. Hey everyone. We've received many messages asking why our YouTube playlists aren't showing up. Do we create YouTube playlists? Yes, we absolutely do. So why can't you see them? Honestly, we're not sure. We've been in contact with YouTube support for several months now, but we still haven't received a clear answer or solution. After much discussion, our team has decided to take matters into our own hands. We believe the issue might be related to the number of playlists we've created on a single channel, possibly too many. Our solution? We're launching 2 additional YouTube channels, giving us a total of 3. This way, we can organize our audiobooks better and avoid the playlist visibility issue in the future. This change only affects our YouTube audience. If you're a patron supporter, you can still access all our audiobooks by visiting the collection menu on Patreon. Thanks so much for your time and continued support. Happy listening. Chapter 1. Jigen Pirate World, on a deserted island in the New World. On the beach, Jigen exclaimed excitedly. Finally, I finally did it. In his hands were 3 green beans. The 3 beans looked very ordinary. Only they were senzu beans. That's right, it's the type of bean from Dragon Ball. But it's even more powerful. If a person dies, if they take it within a certain period of time, they can still be revived. That's how broken it was. 3 months. Jigen was very excited. Do you want me to tell you how I got here in the last 3 months? 100 days ago, Jigen was a college student who had never experienced social beatings. After getting drunk at the graduation ceremony, he opened his eyes and arrived in this pirate world. Like many passers-by, he also obtained the standard of passers-by, that is, the system. Jigen obtained the technology system. The first technology unlocked by this system is to make senzu beans. Jigen was unlucky. He traveled to this deserted island. The deserted island is like a cage. He's tied here. Fortunately, this island is rich in resources and there are too many beasts, at least none have been encountered so far. Using the resources of the deserted island, in addition to the materials from some sunken ships, Jigen successfully made these 3 hermit seeds. Just as Jigen was excited, the voice of the system sounded in his head. It is detected that the host has completed the production of senzu beans, and the second technology is unlocked. Magic Gate has been unlocked. Jigen raised his eyebrows and his heart was ecstatic. Magic Gate, this is Doerman's technology, which allows users to go anywhere. This technology is extremely useful, and it is also Jigen's hope to leave the island. Jigen's face suddenly lit up, and with enthusiasm he looked at the Magic Gate creation panel in his mind. Immediately, Jigen was disappointed, because this Magic Gate could not be made at the fundamental level based on the current situation he was in. It's better to have something to improve my strength. I might as well hunt some prey. I haven't eaten meat in 3 months. Jigen thinks he's probably like Luffy now. If Empress Hancock and barbecue were placed in front of him, he would definitely choose to eat meat. Yuck. Jigen let out a long sigh and felt confused about his future life. Could it be that he came here occasionally and could only spend the rest of his life on this small island? Just as Jigen was a little down, there was a loud sound of rumbling explosion in the sky, as if a giant had fallen from the sky. Jigen was startled, and suddenly looked up to see a huge figure falling from the sky. The speed was extremely fast and landed on this small island in the blink of an eye. The great impact caused a wave of air, and the ground where it landed immediately tore apart. Smoke and dust were everywhere, and the whole island shook. The birds in the deep forest were frightened and flew away. The terrifying wave of air swept directly and almost threw Jigen to the ground. Fortunately, the distance was very far and there was no explosion, which made him not suffer too much damage. In the smoke and dust ahead, a huge black figure can be vaguely seen rising slowly. It lowered its voice, as if suppressing its anger, and was extremely dissatisfied. It's really annoying, I've survived. It's really boring. As if sensing someone not far away, a pair of cold flames in the smoke looked at Jigen. Jigen felt a chill in his heart, and he was still an ordinary person, and his subconscious action was to turn his head and run. He already knew who the monster in the distance belonged to, one of the top tyrants in the pyramid of this world. The strongest creature, Kaido. The captain of the beast pirates. This is too scandalous, right? The place where this suicidal person fell was his own island. Jigen naturally planned to escape. However, Kaido had already noticed him, and Kaido's low, bestial voice sounded from the smoke. Little devil, are you from CP? Are you waiting for me on this island? It's over. Jigen groaned in his heart and Kaido found him. Running now is a bit unrealistic. Although the distance between the two is very long, for a strong person like Kaido, it's not a problem at all. Jigen gritted his teeth, but the sense of ultimate crisis cleared his brain to the extreme. This was also a small advantage of his own. He wouldn't be affected by negative emotions like tension, fear, etc., and therefore wouldn't lose his head. He turned slowly, his thoughts continued, and when he turned to look at Kaido, he had an idea. Jigen looked at Kaido and said, "What is CP?" "I don't know, I'm a scientist." This is Jigen's choice after thinking about Kaido's character. Kaido, as an excellent business manager, is more interested in talents, which is why the Beast Pirates have implemented a challenge promotion system. As long as one can bring greater benefits to Kaido, then they can occupy a prominent position in the Beast Pirates. Now Jigen is just an ordinary person. If he wants to fight, he doesn't have any fighting ability. Only the technology system is the trump card in his hand. So, Jigen finally decided to tell Kaido that he was a scientist. On the opposite side, Kaido in the smoke has emerged from the smoke. His huge body is like a large truck, as if every step he takes can make the ground tremble. "A scientist?" Kaido murmured as he walked. Jigen quickly nodded and then showed Kaido the senzu bean he had just made in his hand. "That's right. I'm a scientist and this is my invention." As he spoke, he forced himself to remain calm and not show fear, because he had his own value, and if that was the case, he didn't need to bow down to others, even if the person in front of him was Kaido of the Beasts. Kaido had already arrived in front of Jigen, and the aura he exuded made the air around him freeze, making people feel suffocated. The more this happened, the more Jigen's adrenaline increased, and his thinking became clearer, and there was no fear on his face. Kaido gave Jigen a condescending look with an evasive expression, and then his eyes turned towards the 3 bins that were in Jigen's hands. These 3 green bins are very small in Jigen's hands, and even smaller in Kaido's. Kaido's eyes couldn't help but lift a little, then his face turned horizontal and his tone was angry. "Little devil, do you think I'm a fool? Trying to trick me with 3 ordinary beans?" he roared as usual. Chapter 2, Miraculous Effect. Kaido saw the 3 bins in Jigen's hand and thought they were just ordinary beans, which made him feel like Jigen was insulting his intelligence and tricking him with common beans. "They're just 3 common beans, what kind of invention can it be?" Kaido said. Jigen had long guessed this would happen. After all, senzu bins look exactly like ordinary bins and there's no magic involved. The more pressure Kaido put on him, the clearer Jigen's mind became. He calmly explained. "That's one of the magical things about my invention. It looks like a normal bean, but it's not that simple. Its name is senzu. After taking it, all the wounds on the user's body can be healed in an instant. Not only that, it also has an impressive function, that is, it has the effect of bringing back the dead. You can revive them directly after they die, as long as not too much time has passed since their death." After Kaido heard the words, the impulse in his body didn't stop. He looked at Jigen and saw that his expression was indifferent, without a trace of turbulence, which made Kaido's expression evasive. Jigen's statement made Kaido very interested. After all, this seemingly ordinary bin can heal all wounds and has the effect of bringing back the dead, which has surpassed his strongest biological physique. But such magic made Kaido not too convinced. Kaido's low voice had a touch of threat. "Little brat, if you dare to lie to me, you're doomed." When Jigen heard this, he couldn't help overflowing with joy. He was going to survive. Jigen smiled and said confidently. "You'll know if you try it." Kaido saw that Jigen was very confident and stopped talking nonsense. "You can know if it's true or not." Kaido jumped directly into the depths of the jungle on the island. When he appeared in front of Jigen again, there was an additional wild bear in his hand. Jigen calmly raised his eyebrows. The whole process of Kaido took less than 5 seconds. Kaido directly threw the wild bear in his hand in front of Jigen, the bear's head dripping with blood and enlarged and already out of breath. "Little devil, revive it. If you can't do it, then you'll be buried with it," Kaido threatened in a low voice. Jigen nodded, without nonsense, and took out one of the 3 beans, and then put it in the mouth of the wild bear. When Xiandu entered the mouth of the dead wild bear, it immediately turned into a green light and entered the body of the wild bear. This scene made Kaido's eyes widen. His head, which was blown off by Kaido's blow, quickly healed at a speed visible to the naked eye, his flesh twisted and grew rapidly, and his skull reorganized and grew. After a while, the wild bear was intact, and even some of its old wounds healed. The wild bear regained its vitality and came back to life. After it made a comfortable ow sound, it saw Kaido and immediately screamed in fear and ran away quickly. The scene of Kaido blowing off his head at this moment was imprinted in the bear's mind, causing him irreparable trauma. When Kaido saw the fleeing wild bear, he froze in place, his eyes flickering, as if he couldn't believe what was happening in front of him, and his expression was full of surprise. He had killed the bear. He knew very well that the bear was already dead, and the child in front of him couldn't do anything. In other words, everything this child said was true, and the thing called Senzu Bin's, in his hand really had the effect of bringing the dead back to life. The strongest creature cannot help but think of many things. If he uses it with his subordinates, doesn't that mean that they all have an extra life? And if the child in front of him can achieve mass production, then his beast pirates can be replaced by an even more terrifying name. Kaido couldn't help but look at Jigen. There was only joy in his heart now. Now, in Kaido's eyes, Jigen in front of him is a great treasure. Kid, your invention is truly amazing, it opened my eyes. What's your name? When Jigen heard the words, he also filled with joy. He knew that the value he showed had won Kaido's favor. Finally, I can leave this ghost place, it's been 100 days. However, Jigen wasn't in a hurry to answer. Now that he has shown his worth, it's time to fight for his own interests. Jigen doesn't want Kaido to prostitute his own things and has to show his attitude from the beginning. His performance was neither humble nor arrogant, just like chatting normally, he said. You can recruit me, but I have my conditions. Kaido waved his hand directly. As long as you're willing to join the Beast Pirates, you can say whatever the conditions are. Jigen wasn't polite and said directly. First, as I was invited to join, my status and rights shouldn't be too low. I don't want anyone to step on my face, and when I do research, it may require materials to be developed, so it's necessary to transfer the rights. Second, you've also seen my current situation, so the salary cannot be lower. Third, Senzu is just my current lowest level invention, and I will continue to develop more powerful technologies in the future, which requires your total and unconditional support. Fourth. Kaido interrupted directly. You don't need to say anything else, there's no problem with all these conditions, I agree with all of them. Chapter 3, Commotion. Kaido originally wanted Jigen, a scientist, to strengthen the Beast Pirates. If he didn't develop something more powerful, he would force him to do so. That's his dominant personality. As for Jigen's other conditions, Kaido accepted them all because in Kaido's eyes, Jigen already had great value to him and deserved high power and status. At the same time, Kaido was also very interested in what Jigen had just said. He asked curiously, "Can you tell me about your next research and development direction?" Jigen was happy that Kaido accepted his terms. After hearing the words, he didn't hide it and said directly, "I plan to develop a gate that can go anywhere. Just need to think of the destination you want to go to in your mind and then open the gate to get there." When Kaido heard the words, he laughed out loud. His subconscious thought was that Jigen was bragging, but his smile soon faded. Because he thought of the green bin at this moment, he could even bring it back from the dead, so this gate to wherever you want to go, maybe this kid in front of you can really do it, and this is really not false. Kaido no longer thought about it. In short, he would know later. At present, having this green bin made Kaido very satisfied. This is completely a magical material that gives a person an extra life. Kaido didn't say anything else, just smiled happily and laughed. He didn't think he would be able to pick up a treasure after trying to commit suicide out of boredom. Soon, he turned into a huge blue dragon and stood in front of Jigen. Kaido's blue dragon form let out a thunderous laughter, apparently satisfied that Jigen was surprised to see his dragon form. "Don't brag so much, you're just a fish, not a real dragon," Jigen thought, rolling his eyes, but didn't dare to express it. Then Kaido said irritably, "What are you doing? Sit quickly." Jigen couldn't believe what he was hearing, murmured incredulously, "You're letting me sit on your body?" This development really surprised Jigen. To be honest, he was very scared. After Jigen sat down, Kaido let out a long whistle. "Little demon, from now on you are part of the Beast Pirates. I have decided that you will be the fourth Calamity of the Beast Pirates, Scourge." Jigen didn't expect Kaido to value him so much and directly give him the highest status in the Beast Pirates, becoming the fourth largest, which means his status is equal to that of King, Queen and Jack, and even the arrogant Obiripo. Jigen suddenly felt full of expectations. Soon, Kaido flew up into the sky. Looking at the loneliness of the island he had been trapped on for almost 3 months, it almost felt unreal to Jigen. Kaido flew at an extreme speed and quickly arrived at Wano, then headed in the direction of Onigashima. In Onigashima, King, Queen and Jack were sitting comfortably, watching the real fight in the ring. The Beast Pirates followed Kaido, their captain, who advocated violence, so this type of ring competition was often held among them. Firstly, it was a source of entertainment, and secondly, it was also one of the channels to promote the Beast Pirates. Therefore, the fights on both sides were extremely brutal. The three watched the fight with boredom. "It really doesn't make any sense at all," Jack said dissatisfied. King didn't respond to Jack, let alone Queen, who it was unknown what she was thinking, but both felt that Jack was right. The Beast Pirates now had no major battles and their spirit was slowly weakening. "By the way, where has Lord Kaido gone?" It's been a few days and we haven't seen him," Jack asked, looking for a topic. And at that moment, in the distance in the void, a huge blue dragon appeared, circling and moving towards the ghost island at an extreme speed. Everyone knew immediately that Kaido had returned. They all quickly stood up, stopped what they were doing, and prepared to wait for Kaido's return. Kaido arrived in the blink of an eye, and soon his huge body fell on the dome. King wanted to step forward, but was stunned after a few steps. Queen and Jack's expressions were priceless. The other members of the Beast Pirates also showed expressions of astonishment. They rubbed their eyes again and again. However, no matter how they rubbed their eyes, they still saw a scene that they would never forget. Had someone really climbed onto Kaido-sama's back? Everyone in the audience was shocked and curious about the person on Kaido's back. However, no matter how people searched their minds, they couldn't find any information about the person in front of them. Later, after Kaido stopped in front of everyone, he carefully lowered Jigen, which once again surprised everyone. Even the three Calamities felt trance, feeling that everything in front of them was not real. "Lord Kaido, who is this person?" King took the lead in asking. Behind him, almost everyone perked up their ears and their curiosity exploded to the extreme. "Who can sit on Kaido's back?" Kaido laughed and was in a very happy mood. He grandly introduced Jigen. "This is the fourth Calamity of our Beast Pirates." Chapter 4, More Surprises. Kaido introduced Jigen to a group of members of the Beast Pirates. This left the people around them stunned. Fourth disaster? Scientific disaster? What's going on? How did they not hear about this? In the scene, all eyes turned to Jigen, staring at him intently. In front of so many gazes, Jigen seemed indifferent. He has now been appreciated by Kaido and has become the fourth most important member of the Beast Pirates. Apart from Kaido, his status is the highest, alongside King, Queen, Jack, and others. In the same way, everyone in front of him will be his subordinates in the future and will be afraid of him. It complements his narcissistic personality. Instead of being afraid, it's better to say that Jigen has a hint of pride in his heart. Seeing everyone's expressions of amazement and somewhat dazed, Jigen feels very satisfied. "I'm someone who has ridden on his captain's back, have you?" "Of course." These are just words in his heart. As Jigen was thinking about that, everyone was looking at him with surprise and perplexity. Because in their eyes, Jigen is a small fry who seems very weak and has no strength. Jigen also maintains a height of 185 centimeters. Such a figure is equivalent to a disability in the world of pirates, and cannot give people a sense of oppression at all. Is such a person the fourth disaster? Kaido-san, did you make a mistake? The Beast Pirates are a pirate group that advocates violence. Strength is everything, so they are very puzzled. For a while, there were whispering voices discussing why. "Let me go, I want to take down this bastard." Ulti, a member of the famous Dobirapo, was held back by her younger brother. "Sister, calm down." Page 1 tried to calm his angry sister. Seeing this, Kaido had no more nonsense and asked Jigen to take out a bin for him, and then showed the bin to everyone and said loudly, "Just trust this bin in my hand." Everyone couldn't help but look at the bin in Kaido's hand, which was extremely tiny in his gigantic hand. Looking at this green bin, everyone was silent for a moment, and then a louder discussion was heard. "What the hell? Isn't it just an ordinary bean?" "That's right. No matter how I look at it, I don't see anything special, it's just an ordinary bin." Kaido-sama said this is a magic bin. Is there something wrong? Hey. Do you think Kaido-sama was fooled by this kid in front of him? I think it's very possible. The people around them were whispering, but they couldn't see anything special about the bin in Kaido's hand. It was just an ordinary bin. They suspected that Kaido was fooled by Jigen. Jack immediately said, "Kaido-san, I don't see anything special about this bean. Even if there is any difference, the Beast Pirates respect our strength. Only with strong strength can we obtain a corresponding position among the ranks. It's inappropriate to let this weak-looking kid be the fourth disaster, isn't it?" Jack, the drought, is basically the type of person who speaks his mind. In his opinion, this bin is nothing at all. After Kaido heard his words, he simply said looked at him out of the corner of his eye, and raised his eyebrows. In the next second, he moved, holding the mace in his hand at some point, and then shouted, "Aurihak, 8 trigrams thunder cannon." The black thunder around him roared, and the mace struck Jack's abdomen. All this happened so quickly that Jack didn't know when it happened, so he vomited blood and hit the ground hard, his abdomen already dripping with blood. King, Queen were surprised. Just like all the Tobirapo. Even Ulti stopped thrashing. It must be said that this attack is so fierce that it traumatizes a bit. Including Jigen, who was also surprised by Kaido's sudden movement. However, he quickly understood Kaido's intention, and had to observe 3 seconds of silence for Jack. He was really miserable, a complete tool man. Kaido's blow directly caused Jack to have many hemorrhagic wounds, but his eyes didn't catch it, and he still felt it wasn't enough. Then he started bombarding Jack again, hitting him with blood, and hitting Jack became a cork. Everyone didn't understand why Kaido suddenly went berserk over a kid and attacked Jack so forcefully. But anyway, in this way, Jack is destined to die, so King hurriedly stopped Kaido and let him stop beating Jack. Seeing this, Kaido looked at Jack's dying appearance. Almost all of his ribs were broken and sunken. If Jack weren't a powerful user of a mythological zone, I'm afraid he'd be a corpse now. All the people around were surprised when they saw Jack's appearance. Jack has been following Kaido for many years. This kid just appeared today, and only expressed his doubts, and Kaido treated him like this. Almost beat him to death. He really values the kid in front of him so much. The crowd was really scared and everyone was guessing what Jigen was going to do. Kaido didn't pay attention to everyone's thoughts at all. Under everyone's attention, he gave Jack the hermit's seeds that he had just taken from Jigen's hands. Queen and King looked at each other, not understanding what Kaido-sama wanted to do, just like the other members. After Kaido fed Jack the bean, a green light remained around his body, and Jack's wounds began to heal at a rate visible to the naked eye. His sunken chest and all the wounds on his body healed. After a few seconds, Jack, who was dying, turned out to be alive and well. This scene made the eyes of the people around him involuntarily widen. King, Queen, Ulti, Black Maria, Page 1, and others also showed shock. The wounds all healed? King took a deep breath. What's the situation? Could it be that the bin is the cause? It's too outrageous, isn't it? Queen was also very surprised. Thinking more like a scientist, but no matter how much he thinks, he doesn't know how this is done. The severe trauma of Mr. Jack has been completely healed. It's incredible, is that the bean? It's amazing, it can be called a miracle. Even Kaido-sama's strongest biological physique can't do all this. Chapter 5, Materials. Jack sat down, but he didn't complain about why Kaido-san shot him. Instead, he stared intently at his now fully recovered body, full of shock in his heart. He knows his body perfectly, he is more aware of how incredible everything in front of him is. All the old wounds on his body have healed, and his current physical condition is extremely good. Jack made waves in his heart and looked at Jigen. At this moment, his eyes have changed and there is no doubt about Jigen. Not only Jack, but other people also looked at Jigen and re-examined the young man in front of him. Seeing this, Kaido snorted coldly, exhaled heat through his nose, and asked in a deep voice. Everyone, have you seen the magical effect of this bin now? Who else thinks they were deceived? No one spoke, and now everyone around is convinced. No one dares to question that it is just ordinary beans. Everything that just happened can be truly seen. Not even the incredible healing powers of a mythical zone can match it. Jack, who had recovered from all his injuries, stood up and immediately asked for Jigen's name. The arrogant and unreasonable Jack the Drought put aside his arrogance and asked. Without waiting for Jigen to answer, Kaido replied for him. In the future, he will be the fourth disaster of our beast pirates, the scientific disaster. As soon as these words came out, except for the three disasters, all members understood why Kaido chose him as the fourth mainstay of the beast pirates. With that magical medicine, they understand Jigen's value, natural disaster status, and his future position. Jigen secretly rejoiced. After arriving at Onigashima, he didn't say a word, but all the beast pirates respected him, and Kaido himself helped him pretend. Before, Jigen really feared that some members would deliberately find faults, but now it seems that there is no need to worry about these things at all. The 3 months of hard work before are worth it at this moment. Suppressing the thoughts in his heart, Jigen intends to continue showing his worth in front of Kaido and strengthen his position in the beast pirates. He decisively told Kaido. Kaido-san, I need 1.1 billion Bailey in funding. After a pause, Jigen briefly explained the specific use of these funds to Kaido. 100 million is used to continue producing hermit seeds, and 1 billion is used for developing new technologies. Jigen's words made Queen frown. He bit his cigar and said. Jigen-san, isn't 1.1 billion Bailey a bit too high? Yes. There's no problem with 100 million for making those magical beans, but 1 billion is a bit overflowing. King also questioned. He paused and said. Our pirate group's current funds will be used to buy the next batch of artificial devil fruits, so. The three disasters feel that the current funding of 1.1 billion Bailey is a bit reluctant and too risky. After all, Queen is a scientist and knows deeply that research and development are a bottomless pit. However, Kaido waved his big, bold hand. Take the money, the next batch of artificial devil fruits will be delayed for a while, and the money will be given to Jigen for research and development. But King wanted to persuade. After all, The artificial devil fruit was an important way for the beast pirates to improve their combat power. But Kaido had already made a decision and directly evaded King's persuasion. I have made up my mind, you don't need to say anything. Meet all of Jigen's requirements. Kaido said, smiled, and said with the smile of a child. Because next, he will develop an incredible technology. An incredible technology? Everyone couldn't help feeling curious. Those bins are already amazing in their opinion, what could be more amazing than that? Everyone was curious. King couldn't help but ask. Kaido-san, can you tell us what they will develop next? Kaido laughed and was very happy. You'll know when it's developed. Obviously, Kaido intends to keep it hidden first and inform everyone when it is developed. Queen turned his head to look at Jigen, bit his cigar, and said. Jigen-san, do you need anything other than money? Queen's tone was respectful. After all, he couldn't speak boldly with someone he doesn't know at all and who is also at his same level of command. He has known King for years, so he is always disrespectful to him. Jigen smiled and said. Do you have a pen and paper? I'll make a list of what I need. Queen didn't say nonsense and quickly asked someone to bring Jigen a pen and paper. Soon, the person he called brought a pen and paper and handed it to Jigen. Jigen-san, here it is. Everyone on the scene was watching Jigen write down the materials he needed on the paper. After a while, he handed the paper to Queen. I just need these materials. The latter took the paper Jigen gave him curiously and then looked at it. After a moment, his eyes widened. Is this what you mean by just need these materials? Do you know how difficult it is to get these materials? Seeing Queen's slightly ugly face, King asked curiously. What's wrong? Queen took a deep breath and said helplessly. Many of the materials are contraband. In fact, it's okay to say that we all have channels to get them. The hardest part is the explosive rock. This is a strictly controlled material by the world government and the Navy. We need to snatch it from the Navy's hands. Both King and Jack were stunned. They didn't expect Jigen to need such rare materials from the beginning. King stopped saying nonsense and said. I will contact Doflamingo to obtain materials other than explosive rocks and let him get them. As for the explosive rock, we have to snatch it from the Navy ourselves. After Jack next to him heard the words, he immediately stood up. His expression full of excitement, and said. Leave the explosive rock to me. He liked these types of challenges. Especially if it's messing with the world government. After seeing this, Queen didn't say anything, looked at Jigen, and said. I will be responsible for organizing your laboratory. Jigen smiled upon hearing this and nodded humbly. Chapter 6, Stealing from the World Government. After seeing everyone actively organizing for Jigen, Kaido laughed. Whirro. I feel like this sea will become chaotic again. Just the way I like it. In the near future, everyone in this sea will feel the horror of the beast pirates. With Jigen's help, his dream may quickly become a reality. Jigen rolled his eyes at Kaido's mood. Dressrosa, inside the main hall. Doflamingo received a phone call from King. After obtaining the list, he was a little surprised, wondering why the beast pirates suddenly requested so many smuggled materials, and even the next batch of artificial devil fruits has been slowed down for the moment to purchase these materials. Although curious, Doflamingo did not ask too much. After all, one of the rules of the black market is not to ask unrelated questions to employers. For the sake of big business, Doflamingo decided to move on. After hanging up the communication from King, Doflamingo called Caesar out of curiosity. He told him all the materials that the beast pirates wanted. After talking, he said with doubts. Caesar, do you know what Kaido is going to do with all these materials? After Caesar heard the words, he pondered for a moment and then said. Kaido should be researching technology related to the space field. Doflamingo raised his eyebrows. Technology? Technology related to the space field? How do you know? When I worked with Vegapunk before, he studied technology in the space field, but in the end, it didn't work out. After all, when it comes to space, it's too difficult. Explained Caesar. Doflamingo knew nothing about the scientific field, so he was stunned when he heard it. After the decisive phone call with this mad scientist, Doflamingo pondered. It seems that Kaido wants to play with something new. However, Caesar also said that even Vegapunk cannot make progress in technology. Doflamingo thinks that Kaido is also busy working in vain and will soon give up, so he doesn't take it too seriously. In summary, let's help the beast pirates get the materials first. He also has money to make, so why not do it? A few days later, Manfred Sengoku was eating senpai, stroking his goat's head as he ate. Nothing important has happened in the sea recently, which makes him, the fleet admiral, in a good mood. However, at this moment, a soldier suddenly rushed in. Report, something happened, Marshal Sengoku. Sengoku quickly returned to work, looking at the soldiers running in front of him, still breathing hard, and asked in a deep voice. What happened? The soldier didn't hesitate and quickly opened his mouth to report. Marshal, a batch of explosive rocks that we delivered to the world government was intercepted by Jack of the Beast Pirates. Sengoku's face suddenly sank, he widened his eyes and said. What? Are those guys crazy? This is a very serious issue. After the explosive rock touches oxygen, it will produce an extremely powerful explosion that is terrifying to the maximum. Just a little bit of explosive rock is enough to turn a village into nothing. That is why the world government and the Navy have strict controls over these things. Cold sweat was already falling on Sengoku's forehead. He didn't understand what the Beast Pirates were suddenly doing by stealing the explosive rock. They must have known that doing so was bound to start a war with the Navy. Damn it. Sengoku gritted his teeth, his thoughts racing. Do they want to start another war? It can be said that the Beast Pirates are the Four Emperors regiment that has given the Navy the most headaches, a group of lunatics who advocate violence. Sengoku's eyes burned with flames as he solemnly said. Call all the executives immediately. The soldier responded quickly, not daring to be careless. Yes, Marshal. Wano Kuni, Onigashima. Shortly after the Navy headquarters received the news, Jack returned to Onigashima. The explosive rock was being continuously unloaded from the ship. This time, Jack completed the task perfectly, but also suffered many injuries. The group of pirates accompanying him also suffered great losses. Jack didn't take it too seriously and went straight to the main hall to report to Kaido. You did a good job, Jack. Kaido raised his alcohol-filled gourd and toasted Jack. Jack was in a good mood. It's what I should do. He responded. At this moment, Jigen had just arrived at the main hall with a small bag in hand. At this moment, he has no obstacles in Onigashima. Every time the members of the Beast Pirates see him, they respect him and call him Jigen-san. Even the Tobirapo members respect him. Although Ulti always glares at him and wants to fight him. But apart from her, everyone considers him a member of the Beast Pirates. After all, everyone sees the value of Jigen. If they can win his favor and have a Senzubin in their hands, it will be equivalent to an extra life, so everyone is eager to have a good relationship with Jigen. When Kaido saw Jigen arrive at the main hall, he casually greeted him. How's it going, Jigen? Jigen didn't return the greeting at all. He raised a bag in his hand. The time is too short, so not many Senzubins were produced. Kaido didn't care too much when he heard those words. He laughed and said. It's understandable. Queen, who has been staying in Onigashima recently, nodded. Indeed, even just 10 of them will be of great help, which is equivalent to 10 lives. Everyone nodded in agreement. How many are there? King asked curiously. Jigen touched his nose and said. There are 100 pieces. He didn't expect these guys to be so conformist with the Senzubins. Chapter 7, Distribution of Senzubins. Upon hearing Jigen's tone, everyone thought the amount of Senzubins he made was not too much, and they wanted to comfort him, but they did not expect Jigen to make 100 directly. Are you joking again? Kaido was a little wordless in his heart. He thought it was not many at first, but did not expect to have 100 directly, which already satisfied him. However, Kaido still suspects a little. Can Jigen make so many in a short period of time? These are life-saving artifacts, and Kaido unconsciously felt that they were very difficult to make. He took the bag handed to him by Jigen with suspicion and immediately opened it to take a look. Looking at the pile of green bins inside, he couldn't help feeling happy. There were about 100 of them. Well done. I don't think your contribution to the Beast Pirates can be measured in money. Let's have the Beast Pirates see if we can find a devil fruit and give it to you as a reward. On the top seat, Kaido threw a fairy bin directly at Jack. Jack, this magic bin will be used as a reward for your contribution this time. Jack was not pretentious. He took the bin thrown by Kaido directly and swallowed it. With a whole body wrapped in green light, Jack's wounds healed instantly. The people around couldn't help sighing. Although I have seen it once before, but when I see this magical scene, I can't help feeling like I'm in a dream. Looking at the bag in his hand, Kaido was not selfish, and distributed these magic beans. At first, Kaido planned to assign 20 pieces to Jigen. After all, with Jigen there, the Beast Pirates could supply continuously, but Jigen refused. In fact, he is not lacking, he himself has some, and in the dangerous world of pirates, he must keep some for emergencies. He is not a fool. This is enough to show Jigen's status in Beast's Pirates today. Since Jigen refused, then he did not assign to Jigen. Kaido did not force him. He monopolized 20 Senzubins, and then distributed 10 each to the 3 disasters, King, Queen and Jack, in addition to the one obtained as a reward, and finally the Flying 6, got 5 each. The people who obtained Senzubins could not help feeling an explosion of joy in their hearts, This would mean having many spare lives. The members who did not obtain were so greedy and anxious. Seeing this, Kaido's eyes lit up. He instantly thought of a way to motivate Beast's Pirates members to continue improving. Then, Kaido quickly formulated a reward mechanism that allowed anyone to obtain the reward if certain requirements were met. The Beast Pirates were excited about the idea and everyone looked forward to having a hidden life-saving card. Seeing the excitement of his own pirate group made Kaido even more joyful. Thinking of this, an idea crossed Kaido's mind. He looked inexplicably at the old wound he had on his abdomen. Chapter 8, Uproar in Manaford, especially the scar that Odin left on his chest more than 10 years ago. This is simply a shame for him. Kaido thought no more about it and, without hesitation, put one in his mouth. Then a green light appeared around Kaido, and soon, the wound healed without much suspense. Those old illnesses accumulated from various battles also healed quickly, making Kaido feel unprecedented. Full of vigor. Like a teenager. At that moment, Kaido felt that he was reborn, as pure as a newborn baby. This feeling made Kaido's eyes turn golden, and he couldn't help but laugh happily. Comfortable. It's really comfortable. I haven't felt this perfect state for a long time. Jigen, your research and development is a miracle. If that old witch and that bastard Shirahige found out, they would be cursing my good luck. Wuro Jigen shook his head, and suddenly saw Kaido directly transformed into a huge blue dragon, and then turned around in a corridor and flew out with feet over the cloud of flames, disappearing into the horizon of Onigashima. This made Jigen feel puzzled. Why did he leave so suddenly? Everyone else had neutral expressions, clearly used to this. You'll get used to it in the future. Kaido-san has his own personality. King walked over and said. From what we know about him, he's probably going to Navy headquarters now to make a fuss. Both Queen and Jack nodded, agreeing with King's words. Jigen's face was speechless when he heard this. Don't you need a little preparation? It has to be said that the character of this giant is quite fierce. Jigen does not care so much. In short, now Jack has obtained the explosive rock, so that he can start researching and developing the Magic Gate. 2 days later, Manaford. Since the last time the Beast's Pirates intercepted a bunch of explosive rocks, Sengoku has not had a day when he is quiet. Worried about something big happening with the Beast Pirates. Tsuru, a veteran like Garp and Sengoku, looked at the restless Sengoku and couldn't help asking, has the Cypher Pol agent investigated it yet? Sengoku rubbed his eyebrows, shook his head and said, not yet. Not only that, but they also found that the Beast's Pirates have been extremely discreet recently, and basically no member is causing trouble in the New World seas. Tsuru stopped talking, and the quieter she was, the more difficult things could be. She was really afraid that the Beast Pirates were involved in some shocking conspiracy. However, the Cypher Pol agent is currently in charge of this matter and the Navy is not involved. When the Cypher Pol agent discovers something, the Navy will intervene. At that moment, a soldier came to Sengoku's office. Report to the Marshal, there is news from the New World. After Sengoku heard the words, his heart tightened. Will the Beast Pirates start doing something? However, this time the soldier did not report news about the Beast Pirates, but news about the Whitebeard Pirates. The captain of the 4th Division of the Whitebeard Pirates, Thatch, recently defeated a large group of pirates with hundreds of millions of bounties in the second half of the New World and obtained a devil fruit from the large pirate group. However, the Navy informants were unable to obtain accurate information about which devil fruit it was. Sengoku's face sank again. With this, the Whitebeard Pirates would have another devil fruit power. What a big problem. At that moment, a dragon's roar resonated throughout the Navy headquarters. Sengoku's eyes suddenly shrank and Tsuru also squinted. The next second, the alarm bell of the Navy headquarters rang, accompanied by the exclamations of soldiers in the hallway. Enemy attack! Enemy attack! The captain of the Beast's Pirates, Kaido the Beast, is attacking Navy headquarters. Soon, the roar of artillery fire was heard outside. Inside the Admiral's office. Sengoku's face suddenly sank, and his heart was beating violently. Could it be? Damn it. The Beast's Pirates had previously intercepted a batch of explosive rocks. Now, Kaido has came to make a big noise at Navy headquarters. If the explosive rocks are used, I fear the entire Manaford will disappear from the map. Sengoku jumped up and ran outside. While in the hallway, Sengoku also met Garp. The two old comrades in arms looked at each other, said nothing and quickly headed to the battlefield. Not long after, the two arrived at the huge Navy plaza. What caught their attention was Kaido, in his giant blue dragon form floating in the air. The cannon fire behind the high wall of the Navy crashed against Kaido, but could not cause him any damage. Kaido responded with a breath of heat that destroyed innumerable turrets. Some soldiers died on the spot and others jumped from high walls. The results were obvious. Looking at this scene, Sengoku and Garp's expressions were extremely ugly. Sengoku growled, Kaido. You. Sengoku, Garp. Finally you are here. Kaido said while simultaneously stopping killing and heading towards them. This time, Kaido came here to have fun and naturally had to fight against major powers like Garp and Sengoku, which was interesting. Garp and Sengoku looked pale, and with a big greeting, they took off the cloak of justice from their bodies. Chapter 9, Battle in Marineford. At this moment in Marineford, the only superior powers were Sengoku and Garp. The three admirals had assigned tasks and had gone out to carry them out in the past few days. Facing Kaido, who was coming to the naval headquarters to cause a scene, Sengoku and Garp immediately went out to stop him. The two of them took off their justice coats one after another. At that moment, Garp couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. Sengoku, have you noticed that Kaido is different today? Sengoku nodded and replied in a low voice, yes. I noticed, his scar has disappeared. Sengoku and Garp were surprised. The scar had been with Kaido for over 10 years. How could it have disappeared just like that? The amazement turned into action. In the moment the coats landed, the two had already moved. Garp jumped first, with armament hockey in his hands. A black fist struck Kaido's head, iron fist. Kaido laughed, not to be outdone, he spewed a hot breath, dragon breath. The wave of heat swept towards Garp, just about to hit him. However, his fist armed with armament hockey passed directly through Kaido's heat, not hitting him. Kaido raised his eyebrows, and before he could make the next move, Sengoku's attacks followed. He didn't transform into a golden Buddha, but also used physical techniques to attack him. You really underestimated me. Sengoku. Kaido let out a loud roar. He transformed out of the blue dragon form and directly into the hybrid form. His eyes looked towards Sengoku, his body quickly fell, and the mace in his hand shone like black thunder, Reimai Hakkai. At the first attack from Sengoku, Kaido decided not to dodge, but to attack head-on. What? Sengoku didn't expect this scene. His armament hockey armed fist couldn't be retracted, and he attacked Kaido's abdomen. A loud sound echoed on the battlefield, only to hear Kaido groan, and his face changed. However, the corners of Kaido's mouth quickly lifted and the mace in his hand attacked. Sengoku quickly used his devil fruit ability, and golden light flickered on his body. He completed the transformation at the moment Kaido hit him. Boom. In the void, the roaring sound of metal collision echoed and a torrent of airwaves continuously swept through the audience. The Marines who looked around at this scene opened their eyes. Be careful. You can lose your life. Although Sengoku had transformed into a giant Buddha to block Kaido's attack, his huge golden body was overturned and crushed to the ground. Kaido retracted his mace, smiled, and laughed. He wanted to say some words to pretend to be tough, but felt a chill behind him. A terrible feeling surged from behind. Garp had launched an attack again, this time attacking Kaido from behind. Down below, in the huge pit, Sengoku stood up and didn't receive much damage from Kaido's attack at this moment. He had completed his transformation into the form of a great Buddha, with an angry look on his face, and his entire body was an indestructible golden body. Sengoku looked towards the sky and saw Garp attacking Kaido from behind. He moved slightly in his heart and made a gesture of action. Sengoku and Garp have been companions for many years. In essence, they have an extremely tacit cooperation. They don't need any communication at all. The two know what they should do in battle. As long as I avoid Garp's sneak attack, I can take the opportunity to attack. Sengoku murmured silently, ready to attack at any time, and facing Garp's well-charged blow, he believed that even Kaido wouldn't consider taking it to heart. However, soon Sengoku was surprised to find that he had made a mistake. In the face of Garp's sneak attack, Kaido did not choose to avoid it, but considered a counterattack. What is the situation? Is this suicide crazy today? In Sengoku's eyes, Kaido clearly wanted to exchange injuries with Garp, which was completely incomprehensible to him. Now Kaido is in the naval headquarters, it is not at all intelligent. Kaido's fighting style is madness. He doesn't care if he will be injured or not. Without any defense, he is a fierce attack against Garp and Sengoku. Although Kaido's attack confused Sengoku and Garp a lot, they still suppressed Kaido. After all, both Garp and Sengoku are the maximum limits of marine power, so it is not a problem to join forces to deal with the four emperors. Kaido was suppressed, but the funny thing was that he couldn't see the slightest panic in him. Instead, he was laughing wildly. At this moment, Kaido was like a madman and kept accumulating injuries, laughing wildly, as if he now had the advantage. Sengoku, Garp, you two are really getting old, you can't do it. Let's go. Keep going. Kill me if you can. Kaido was like a madman, which gives Garp and Sengoku an advantage, but it is also an extreme headache for them. How can someone fight like this? This battle lasted for 3 hours and the entire plaza of the naval headquarters was a mess. There were cracks everywhere, and pits attacked by huge forces could be seen everywhere. Just when the two sides were at a stalemate, a strange voice suddenly sounded in the void, and the voice sounded very surprised. Me. It's really amazing. As soon as I come back, there's a situation like this. As soon as the voice fell, before Kaido could react, a golden flash attacked his back. The scales on Kaido's back exploded, making him stagger forward. Without giving Kaido a chance to breathe, a series of golden flashes continued to attack Kaido. Kizaru uses one of his widest moves. One after another, golden lasers bombarded Kaido, and Kizaru's attack this time didn't even aim at the side. Kaido's body continued to explode, and the explosion soon engulfed him completely. After the smoke cleared, Kaido's body was covered in scars and, along with the previous fatal gameplay, it can be said that his current state seems to be injured. Kizaru's laser attack caused burns all over Kaido's body. The marine soldiers who were still tense at this time saw this scene and were instantly delighted. However, just as everyone in Marine felt that Kaido couldn't cause any more havoc, Kaido laughed. Kaido said, "Everyone, behold the invention of our beasts pirates' fourth calamity." Chapter 10, Commotion amidst the battle. Everyone in the navy was taken aback upon hearing this. Garp couldn't help but look at Sengoku, searching for some answers in his eyes. However, even Sengoku was at a loss and had no idea when a fourth calamity appeared among the beast pirates. When Garp saw Sengoku's expression, he couldn't help but complain. As a marshal of the navy, how is it possible for you to not know about such important information? Sengoku had black lines all over his face. If the beast pirates deliberately concealed this information, how did the navy obtain it? Most of the time, the beast pirates' side is under the supervision of the CP. The navy doesn't know when the beast pirates recruited a fourth calamity. And at that moment, Kaido took out a senzubin directly from the pouch around his waist. Sengoku and Garp, as well as Kizaru, were very attentive, thinking that Kaido was going to take out something dangerous, probably an explosive rock. But when they saw the tiny bin in Kaido's large hands, the three were stunned and full of doubts. Sengoku was a little surprised. What will Kaido use that for? As he adjusted his glasses, he suspected that he might have to change them again. Had he made a mistake? How can a bin be so important to Kaido? Sengoku then asked Garp. He too was a bit perplexed, and the corners of his mouth moved. Yes, what Kaido took out was indeed a bean. Kizaru twisted his mouth and said, "What is this?" At this moment, everyone at the Navy headquarters didn't understand what Kaido was doing by taking out a bean. It looked like an ordinary bin. Kaido couldn't help but mock the bewildered expressions of the Navy. Immediately, without any fuss, he put the green bin in his hand directly into his mouth, and immediately his body was covered by a fluorescent green light. He murmured and laughed at everyone, saying very arrogantly, "Wuro, tremble." Everyone at the Navy was still astonished by the green light on Kaido's body, but the next second, they were all in shock. Is that how the situation is? Kaido's injuries. Surrounded by the exclaims of the Navy, Sengoku, Garp, and Kizaru also opened their eyes in disbelief. Have his injuries healed? A cold sweat dripped down Sengoku's forehead. That was a very serious injury. Enough to take months of recovery. Not only is the injury healing, his aura has also returned to its peak. Garp was extremely astonished. What is happening here? It's truly shocking. Kizaru said in his usual tone. I still can't believe it. Is that been the reason? Sengoku was still in shock. But at this moment, there was no need to guess at all. After Kaido took the bin, such a shocking scene happened that it must be the reason for that bean. A simple bin healed Kaido's injuries and returned him to his peak strength. That was outrageous. From the plaza, Kaido's laughter could be heard, who was very satisfied with the collective surprise of the Marines. This time, he had came to collectively surprise the Marines, and seeing the enemy's surprise made him very happy. Kaido, who had returned to his peak, no longer hesitated and continued to fight against Sengoku, Garp, and Kizaru. Let's go. Sengoku, Garp, yellow-dressed brat. Kaido shouted. Come on, keep playing with me. Kizaru responded. Kaido recovered and the three began to attack him again. Although Kaido has returned to his peak, he now has to face three powerful opponents and is still being suppressed and beaten. However, Kaido doesn't care about this at all. This kind of battle makes him extremely happy. I haven't had such a bountiful battle in a long time. Kaido exclaimed. In a moment, Kaido evaded the attack of Garp and Kizaru and directly attacked Sengoku, sending him flying. Sengoku made a huge dent in the ground, causing his golden body to darken a bit. This time, Sengoku was not calm. He stood up and asked Kaido. Damn it. What exactly did you just take? Chapter 11, Okainu joins in. Ignoring the attacks from Garp and Kizaru, Kaido directly hit Sengoku in the air, causing Sengoku to break his defense and question what just happened. Kaido was very proud after hearing this. This is what I said that can shake the entire world. Saying that, Kaido took out a green bin from his bag again. He was very proud to show it off in front of the Marines, and said with a smile, "This is called the Senzu Bean, and it is the invention developed by the newly hired fourth disaster of the Beast's pirates." After Kaido's words, everyone was silent, staring at Kaido's hand. Senzu Bin? A work developed by a new member, the fourth disaster? What the hell is this? Sengoku gritted his teeth silently. Kaido continued boasting, drunk as he was. You only need one bin to recover from an injury, and even if the user has only one breath left, they can instantly return to their best moment. As for the most outrageous effect, bringing back the dead, Kaido did not mention it. This is also a trump card reserved for the future of the Beast Pirates. But even if Kaido did not mention the effect of bringing back the dead, the three Marine executives showed shock on their faces. What did you say? Sengoku's breath became heavier. Being able to heal any injury, even with just one breath. That's outrageous, said Garp, swallowing saliva. His first thought was disbelief, but just now, Kaido took this so-called Senzu Bin and recovered his maximum state. This thing is too incredible. Kizaru's mouth opened, thinking how outrageous this was. Marine soldiers around them were sweating as they listened, only to feel that what was happening in front of them felt unreal. Kaido was very satisfied with everyone's expressions. He grinned fiercely and threw the bin he had just taken out into his mouth. When a green light appeared on his body, Kaido once again returned to his original state. All his wounds healed. Sengoku, Garp, and Kizaru felt the same pain as if they had eaten shit. This bastard. Will he still keep attacking? The three's expressions were extremely solemn. After Kaido recovered his best moment, he laughed out loud, looking at the ugly expressions of the three on the opposite side. He was quite happy at this moment. I still have a lot to play with you. Kaido once again attacked. Upon hearing Kaido's words, Sengoku, Garp, and Kizaru only felt a headache. They don't recover from an injury that quickly. Even if most strong people recover their lives, they can improve quickly as long as they eat, but where are the beans that Kaido eats? If they keep fighting like this, they may really be consumed by this troublesome guy. But the three now have no other choice, because Kaido once again rushed like a madman, only attacking but not defending. The three had no choice but to grit their teeth and continue bombarding Kaido. The whole Manafort was like an earthquake. It began to tremble again and explosions continued. The plaza has turned into a bumpy, ruined wasteland, with all kinds of huge cracks appearing. Again, the fight dragged on for hours as the trio hit Kaido and Kaido hit them. Sengoku and Garp were out of breath at this point. Such a high-intensity battle, even for the two of them, was extremely exhausting. On the other hand, Kaido sneered. He mockingly looked at the three high-ranking Marines in front of him. He took out a bin again in front of their faces with black lines, and under the green light, returned to his full power. Then he faced the trio again. Kizaru was stunned and exclaimed. This thing is outrageous. Sengoku and Garp did not speak. They must now conserve their physical strength, which makes them feel that they cannot afford to chatter. They don't have the bin in their hands like Kaido. After Kaido released his conqueror's haki and showed himself at his peak again, he couldn't help but smile and attack Sengoku, Garp, and Kizaru again. However, at this moment, Kaido's attack suddenly stopped. He felt something and quickly avoided it. As soon as Kaido dodged, a hot magma cloud opened a small magma hole where he was, and the heat wave swept the whole place. Kaido involuntarily raised his eyebrows and looked in the direction of the attack. He saw a Kanyu hiding his face under the brim of his cap. One arm had hot lava flowing continuously. Around him, when the nervous soldiers saw Akanyu's return, they were filled with joy instantly. Admiral Sakazuki is back. Akanyu's fierce methods have left a deep impression on the minds of this generation of Marines. He is also recognized as the strongest admiral in the army. His appearance could not help but boost the morale of the Marine soldiers once again. Kaido, you are really becoming more and more unscrupulous. Akanyu said, raising his head to look at Kaido, his eyes burning with fire. Akanyu, who has the concept of absolute justice, is extremely uncompromising with pirates, and Kaido often causes trouble in the New World, which makes Akanyu extremely disgusted with Kaido, and it can even be said that he is extremely hateful. But he did not expect this guy to rush to the naval headquarters to cause havoc while he was away. Compared to Sengoku, Garp, and Kizaru, Akanyu is also a master who does not speak much, so he just raised his hand and used Great Eruption on Kaido. After one attack, Akanyu attacked again, using his magma ability to start bombarding Kaido wildly. Kaido was not afraid at all of the appearance of a new admiral. He fought with Akanyu while laughing. Yes. That's it. That's what makes me have fun. That's what makes me feel alive. Upon hearing Kaido's words, Sengoku, Garp, and Kizaru couldn't bear it anymore. He was too arrogant. The three also joined the battle. Seeing Kaido struggling to cope with the four of them, Kizaru couldn't help but notice the bag on Kaido's waist. An idea flashed in his vague brain. As long as he took away the bag, wouldn't Kaido wither away? Chapter 12, 4 against 3. The return of Akainu, joining the battle, made Kizaru feel a little uneasy. On high alert, he quickly focused his attention on the bag around Kaido's waist. With a thought, Kizaru immediately shot out to snatch the bag from Kaido's waist. However, Kaido's observation haki was not just for show. As soon as Kizaru used a 2.5-meter mirror to close in, Kaido directly ignored the attacks of Akainu, Sengoku, and Garp, took the damage, and used Reimai Hakkai on Kizaru. The terrifying black thunder roared and crashed into Kizaru ferociously. Kizaru observed the attack covered with armament haki and intertwined with Conqueror's haki. His pupils shrank and quickly turned into clusters of golden light that dissipated, appearing on the other side of the battlefield in the blink of an eye. Garp, Sengoku, and Akainu were forced to retreat by the torrent caused by Kaido's attack. Kizaru saw Kaido's Reimai Hakkai and couldn't help but sigh. I think this bag is not more important than my own life. That's an exaggeration. Garp approached. Both Sengoku and Garp felt sorry to see Kizaru fail. What a pity. You almost had it. Garp clenched his fists. Sengoku also nodded approvingly, panting increasingly violently. His physical energy consumption in the form of Buddha was too severe. Of the four present, only Akainu did not understand anything. He frowned and asked in a deep voice. What do you want to do with Kaido's bag? Akainu looked at the small bag on Kaido's waist and felt that it couldn't contain anything, not even an explosive rock. Kizaru replied. Kaido can last until now thanks to what he has in his pocket. Then, Kizaru gave Akainu a brief account of the previous battle and the magic beans. After hearing the words, Akainu showed a surprised expression and said in amazement. Is there such a magical drug? No wonder. Now Akainu understands. When he had just returned to the naval headquarters, he saw Kaido, Sengoku, Garp, and Kizaru fighting, and was very surprised why the three seemed to have difficulty in defeating Kaido. It shouldn't be difficult to overwhelm him, even with just Garp and Sengoku. It turns out that Kaido has this magical object called the Hermit's Seed. In the center of the four, facing each other, Kaido sneered. You want to snatch my bag? If I get angry, I'll destroy everything in Manaford. Manaford is not only stationed in the naval headquarters. Behind the headquarters, there are many civilians, most of whom are families of soldiers. As soon as these words came out, Akainu's face suddenly sank and then he attacked Kaido again without saying a word. He charged while continuously throwing magma, forming a huge magma dog that opened its bloody mouth and ran towards Kaido. Not to be outdone, Kaido responded with a hot breath to Akainu, and the two fought. Sengoku returned to his human form, and immediately joined the battle, while Kizaru and Garp had already joined the battle, and the 4-on-1 battle began again. Kaido couldn't bear it for less than half an hour this time, and immediately found a neutral position to break free from the siege of the four. Seeing this, Sengoku immediately shouted. Don't let him eat another bean. Stop him now, added Garp. However, Kaido abruptly took Kizaru's attack and once again swallowed a bean. The faces of Sengoku, Garp, and Kizaru suddenly became extremely grim. Damn it! Exclaimed Garp, stomping in anger. As before, the green light swirled around him again, and his breathing reached its peak once again. Kaido, who had regained his maximum aura, couldn't help but show a smug smile again. Although Akainu had learned from Kizaru before, this was the first time he had seen the magical effect of this thing with his own eyes, and he couldn't help but show a surprised expression. His wounds have really healed, said Akainu in amazement. A burning flame flickered in Akainu's eyes for a moment, and his eyes involuntarily landed on the bag on Kaido's waist. He finally understood why Sengoku, Garp, and Kizaru wanted to snatch the bag from him, and now he also wanted to snatch it. With this magical object called the Senzu Bean, wouldn't he be able to more recklessly take down pirates in the future? Those supreme lords in the New World, Whitebeard, Big Mom, Red Hair, and many dangerous pirates. Thinking of this, Akainu gritted his teeth and attacked Kaido again, this time with faster frequency and more ferocity. Although Sengoku and Garp had fought with all their might for almost 10 hours, they gritted their teeth and attacked Kaido to help Akainu. A new round of battle began again. Akainu, as the main force, faced Kaido head-on. Garp and Sengoku played support, and Kizaru became an old coin to find the right moment to attack Kaido's blind spot with his laser. Under such continuous attacks, even Kaido, who had regained his maximum state again, had the idea of retreating. With their thoughts together, Kaido directly transformed into a huge blue dragon, stepped on the cloud of flames, and rose into the sky. This is also one of the reasons why Kaido dares to come to the naval headquarters to cause a scene. If he wants to leave, it's difficult for the Marines to stop him. Sengoku saw that Kaido was about to escape and shouted, "Stop him, I can't let him leave the naval headquarters like this." Chapter 13, Saving the situation. Kaido has transformed into a dragon and wants to escape from the Navy headquarters. Sengoku shouted hastily, "Don't let him leave the Navy headquarters." Firstly, Kaido came to the Navy headquarters to cause a ruckus, and it would be too brazen to suddenly leave. Secondly, the Senzubin in Kaido's body has not been obtained yet. That's right. The most important thing is the Senzubin that Kaido carries. The Navy headquarters has to figure out what it is, otherwise, as Kaido himself said, the world will really tremble for it. That thing is beyond everyone's imagination. Sengoku and Garp are unable to fly, and now it's too late to catch up with them. You can only rely on Akainu and Kizaru, and it's unlikely that Akainu can be counted on. Although he can use magma to turn the plants on his feet into a kind of jet, he can only cover a short distance. Kizaru jumped without saying a word, but it was obviously unrealistic for him, the lazy admiral, to block Kaido head-on. He raised his hand towards Kaido and fired a laser. A golden laser headed towards Kaido. Kaido's observation Haki noticed the attack behind him. He planned to ignore it and withstand Kizaru's attack. However, Kizaru's attack seemed to be aiming at Kaido, but it was actually attacking the bag on his body, so Kaido's face sank when he realized it. As he only wanted to withstand Kizaru's damage, Kaido did nothing. He was too reluctant to wait until he realized Kizaru's purpose and then reacted. Although Kizaru's laser didn't completely knock down the bag, it opened a hole and some green bins fell out of the bag and landed in the ruins of a plaza. Sengoku, Garp, Akainu, and the others immediately saw joy. In the air, Kaido also stopped escaping. He looked at the Senzubin he had dropped with an extremely ugly expression. After a brief thought, Kaido made a decision. A wave of heat slowly overflowed from Kaido's mouth. Dragon breath. Kaido aimed at the Senzubin on the ground in a burst of heat. He chose very simply, even if he destroyed these noble beings, he could not let the Marines get them. After all, with Jigen there, the beast pirates could still create more hermit seeds. Kaido's breath was extremely decisive, making it too late for the Marines to protect these magical beings. Just at this critical moment, a sudden violent cold current entered. An imposing wall of ice stood over the plaza, and everything was frozen under thick walls. The heat burst and shattered the high wall, but still could not destroy the frozen bins at the bottom. This made Kaido grit his teeth. He looked towards the place and saw Aokiji's eyes staring at him, and a constant chill emanating from his body. Aokiji. Kaido almost spat out Aokiji's name through gritted teeth. Chapter 14, Incredible. The Navy executives were very interested in the new disaster caused by the beast pirates, which could develop such things. Sengoku's eyes were serious as he said in a deep voice. The matter of the beast pirates cannot be left to the spy agency CP. Our Marines must also intervene in the investigation of the beast pirates. You must know where the fourth disaster of the beast pirates is located. However, this is also a follow-up plan. The most important thing at the moment is to clear the mess in front of you and try the 4 bins in your hand. Not everyone has personally experienced the magical effect of these beans, and they are a little anxious to try them. Currently, Sengoku, Garp, and the 3 admirals have basically not been seriously injured. Garp and Sengoku have only been exhausted. The best target now is the type of person who is on the brink of death. This can also prove if Kaido's previous statement is completely correct. After all, although Kaido was seriously injured at this time, he was not in an agonizing state. At this moment, there were many wounded at the scene. Sengoku looked around and saw a doctor rescuing a rear admiral. He saw that the rear admiral's expression was almost exhausted, the lower part of his body was missing, and blood was flowing. Seeing this, Sengoku looked at the bin in his hand and then approached. When the doctor heard footsteps approaching, he couldn't help but turn his head to look and saw the Marshal, Garp, and 3 high-ranking Marine admirals. After seeing Sengoku, the doctor showed an expression of helplessness and solemnly said, "Marshal, he will not be saved." "It's okay, leave it to me," said Sengoku. The doctor was very surprised, turned his head and looked at the Marshal confused, not understanding what he meant. He saw Sengoku holding a green bin in his hand, and under the extremely strange gaze of the doctor, he put the bin into the mouth of the rear admiral, who had no lower body. The doctor also wanted to dissuade Sengoku. After all, the rear admiral could not eat anything in his current state. However, before making any move, he saw the bin instantly turn into a green light after entering his mouth. Immediately after, a burst of green light enveloped his entire body, and then something that surprised the doctor and Aokiji happened. The flesh and blood of the lower part of this rear admiral's body began to twist, growing at a visible speed. Immediately after, The complete lower body was fully restored, and the pale face of this rear admiral, who had been slow to the extreme, was instantly lit up and his eyes were full of vitality. The rear admiral sat up and looked at his revived body with confusion. He felt that his current state was very good, even if his physical condition was not as good before, it was like he had a new life. He looked at the lower part of his body, then his face turned red and he quickly covered his important parts. However, the people around now didn't care about his state of nudity, they were shocked by the extent of his recovery. The medical soldier couldn't help but rub his eyes frantically, unable to believe what he was seeing. It's a medical miracle. This was the first time Aokiji had seen such a situation, and his face was full of astonishment and shock. This is too scary. Although Sengoku, Garp, Okainu, and Kizaru had witnessed Kaido's healing, the fact that they could fully recover from such a serious injury caused a storm in their hearts and they could not calm down for a long time. At this moment, they have realized the true effect of this green bean. With just this thing, it is enough to lead the direction of a war. We must do whatever it takes to uncover who the fourth disaster is. Sengoku made a decision. Enough to change the current pattern of the entire world. Suddenly, a painful voice sounded, with choking and trembling, Sengoku. This voice made all the marine executives turn around, only to see an elderly man dressed in normal clothes embracing a severely injured elderly woman. After seeing the elderly man, Sengoku's eyes violently shrank. Uncle. The elderly man was Sengoku's uncle, and the elderly woman he was holding was Sengoku's aunt. Obviously, during Kaido's attack, she was severely injured. Sengoku, save your aunt. Sengoku's uncle burst into tears. Upon seeing this, the doctor hurried forward, but after seeing the huge hole in the woman's heart, his movements came to a stop. The loss and sadness on his face, there is no cure. Sengoku took a step forward to take his aunt from the elderly man. The moment he took her, he felt the lost warmth of his aunt, and couldn't help but show sadness. This shows that she is dead and has already lost her vitality. Sengoku placed his aunt on the ground and immediately draped the justice coat over the corpse. The elderly man looked helpless and cried like a child. Garp clenched his fists behind him, gritted his teeth, and his face was full of anger. That damn Kaido. The reason for all of this is Kaido's fault. His aunt and uncle chose a bad day to visit Sengoku. Sengoku was speechless and stood up to appease his old uncle. As Marshal of the Marine, he is the pillar of the Marine. All his grief could only be hidden in his heart, and he couldn't show any weakness. The atmosphere was depressing and full of sadness. Okainu looked at the justice coat and his thoughts were turning. He thought about the renaissance of the rear admiral's lower body at this moment. If it is said that a complete flesh and bone body can be restored, wouldn't it be possible to save the dead? As long as the body's functions are complete, the body can function, then will people still die? With Okainu's bold idea, he couldn't contain it anymore. He opened his mouth and said to the people around him, Sengoku-san, I think the elderly woman can be saved. Chapter 15, Zephyr. After receiving the news that Kaido was causing trouble at the Navy headquarters, Zephyr immediately returned. Soon, he arrived where Sengoku and the others were. He knew in his heart that, looking at the current situation, Kaido had already left the Navy headquarters. Before he could start cursing Kaido, Sengoku was the first to speak after seeing Zephyr's prosthetic, take off the mechanical prosthetic. 9 years ago, when Zephyr was training recruits, he encountered a pirate's sneak attack. To protect those recruits, Zephyr did almost everything he could, but in the end, he lost an arm, and at that time, only 2 recruits survived. This made Sengoku have an idea: can the Ben heal his broken arm? Sengoku decided to give it a try. If possible, Zephyr's recovery would be of great benefit to the Navy. Zephyr originally wanted to aggressively shout at Kaido, but Sengoku's sudden words surprised him. He asked in surprise. What? Sengoku, what do you want me to do with the mechanical prosthetic? Everyone present understood what Sengoku meant, and Garp smiled and said, Zephyr, just listen to Sengoku. As a fellow warrior, Garp was looking forward to the recovery of Zephyr's arm. Zephyr didn't say any more nonsense. He took off his mechanical prosthetic arm and then saw Sengoku handing him a bin in his hand. Looking at the bin in Sengoku's hand, Zephyr once again felt confused. Sengoku, why are you giving me a bean? Sengoku didn't say much, he just said, just eat it. Although Zephyr didn't understand the intention behind this, he had no doubts about his 2 old comrades. He took the bin from Sengoku's hand and put it directly in his mouth. As soon as he ate it, it melted and turned into a green streak that entered Zephyr's body, which surprised him. What's going on here? Without waiting for Sengoku and the others to answer, Zephyr noticed the changes in his body. He saw the fracture of his amputated arm starting to twist. The wound that had healed for many years seemed to come back to life, and flesh and bones began to grow. Fingers, everything appeared. Zephyr stepped back in horror and almost fell to the ground in shock. My arm. In just a few seconds, his arm recovered, and this scene surprised everyone present. What's going on here? My broken arm has recovered. Zephyr exclaimed and looked at Sengoku, wanting Sengoku to explain the situation to him. Sengoku didn't immediately answer the question, but couldn't help laughing. The same was true for Garp. Just now, he was still thinking about the veterans who were disabled due to the battle. Now there was an experiment on Zephyr. As long as the Navy can create these magic beans, these veterans can also recover. You must know that these people are all battle-hardened warriors. Once they can regain their strength, the strength of the Navy can skyrocket against the pirates. Seeing that Sengoku and the others were ignoring him, Zephyr, who was a little anxious, became even more curious. Now his curiosity had reached its peak and he hurriedly asked again. Sengoku, Garp, you two, hurry up and tell me what's going on, you're scaring me. Sengoku's face was still full of joy, and as he smiled, he explained. Okay, don't worry, I'll tell you. He talked about the battle that had just taken place in Manafort and how they had obtained the bean from Kaido's hands, and how it would heal every time someone ate one. Zephyr was completely stunned by the news. He had heard of devil fruits that could grant healing powers, but he had never heard of a fruit that had the ability to heal wounds and restore amputated limbs. After Sengoku's explanation, Zephyr felt more at ease and grateful. He turned to the two recruits who had survived with him, and said with an emotional voice. Guys, don't worry, your master will be back in full form. Let's make those pirates pay for what they did. Sengoku nodded in satisfaction, knowing that Zephyr's recovery would not only be beneficial to him, but also to the Navy and the world government in their fight against the pirates. Garp was also happy to see his friend recover from his injury and chuckled. That's great, Zephyr, wah 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 wah. Zephyr smiled widely and nodded his head. Of course. I'm ready to fight any pirate that crosses our path. Chapter 16, Doflamingo stunned Virgo, who is undercover in the Navy headquarters, has an urgent report. Doflamingo looked around, the members were enjoying the party, so he chose to answer the phone. Virgo's voice sounded. Young master. I have received news that can change the world. Doflamingo listened as Virgo, who had always been calm and collected, had a turbulent tone, and also said such exaggerated words that made him realize that this time through the flowers were not simple. Something big must have happened. Doflamingo said quietly. Wait a moment, Virgo, I'll clear the field. Saying that, Doflamingo immediately stopped the party and kicked everyone out of the hall, leaving only the immediate members of the Don Quixote family. The people of the Don Quixote family were very puzzled by Doflamingo's actions, but when they found out that their young master was in contact with Virgo, they suddenly understood the reason. Until then, Doflamingo told Virgo. You can speak. Young master, have you heard of the recent uproar caused by Kaido of the Beasts at the Navy headquarters? Virgo asked into the phone. Doflamingo showed a strange expression and said in surprise. Of course I have heard, the news is about to spread all over the world. Moreover, it's not the first time Kaido has gone to the Navy headquarters to cause a scene. I don't know how strange it is. Virgo nodded in response. Certainly. There is nothing surprising about Kaido's disturbances at the Navy headquarters. The main reason is that this time he left some beans, which should be called senzu beans to be precise. Senzu? Doflamingo murmured with curiosity about this new term. Yes. This bean is not easy. As long as a person eats it at once, they can recover in an instant. Doflamingo was immediately surprised when he heard the words. He repeatedly asked Virgo in disbelief. He wondered if he had misheard. However, Virgo gave Doflamingo an affirmative answer, saying that he heard correctly. This made Doflamingo take a deep breath. If the person on the phone wasn't Virgo, he really wouldn't believe what he was hearing. A person who is on the brink of death and has only one breath left can be healed in an instant. This is too absurd. However, Virgo is loyal. If it's not 100% secure information, he will never report it. He came to report now, which shows he has researched it clearly. Then Doflamingo suddenly thought of the smuggling that the Beasts pirates had bought from him, with all kinds of materials. It seems that they have made progress so far, so this time Kaido of the Beasts went to the Navy headquarters and accidentally lost some beans. Thinking of this, Doflamingo showed a horrified expression. In this way, the Beasts pirates are not invincible? The other members of the Don Quixote family also heard Virgo's words and their faces were shocked. On the other side, Virgo said. Young master, this is just one of the effects of those beans. After hearing the words, Doflamingo felt another wave in his heart. This was already shocking enough, and there was more. Former Marine Admiral Zephyr, young master, you should know about his arm, right? Waiting for Doflamingo to respond, Virgo continued. His broken arm from a few years ago has been healed, and Zephyr, the former black arm, has returned. Doflamingo's pupils immediately shrank, and the veins on his forehead kept twisting. His cut-off arm was able to be restored with this bin? This is already beyond the field of medicine. How the beast's pirates obtained this thing, or how it was developed, is incredible. On the other side, Virgo continued. Young master, don't worry. There is also one of the most outrageous effects, but at the moment I have only heard some rumors. After a pause, Virgo changed the conversation again. This rumor should be 80% true. It is said that this thing can revive the dead, and the aunt of Fleet Admiral Sengoku was resurrected. The wine glass in Doflamingo's hand fell to the ground with a thud. He didn't even notice the red wine in it and just stood there emotionless. He was completely stunned by the news. All the members of the Don Quixote family were shocked. Virgo, I suspect you're joking with me. Treble couldn't help but shout into the phone, his nose twitching wildly, showing his excitement now. This is more perverted than Marco's phoenix fruit ability. Pica said in amazement. Doflamingo recovered from his surprise and turned to Virgo with a cold voice. Virgo, are you sure this is true? Virgo responded without hesitation. Yes, young master. I have confidence in the source of this information. Doflamingo was silent for a moment, then said with determination. Virgo, this is a great opportunity for us. We need to get our hands on these magic bins at all costs. How can we do that? Treble asked with an evil smile. Doflamingo replied with an even more evil smile. We will do whatever it takes. We will send our best men to infiltrate the beast's pirates and steal those bins for us. The Don Quixote family members nodded in agreement. They all knew that this was a rare opportunity that they couldn't miss. Doflamingo then ordered Virgo to gather all the information he could about the bins and the beast's pirates. Virgo promised to do so and ended the call. Doflamingo was deep in thought. He knew that whoever possessed those bins would have a huge advantage in the world. He couldn't let this opportunity slip away, even if it meant going to war with the beast's pirates. The Don Quixote family had always been ambitious, and this new development only fueled their desire for power. Doflamingo raised his head and looked at his loyal subordinates. Let's get ready for war, my family. We will not rest until we have those bins in our hands. The members of the Don Quixote family raised their glasses in agreement, their eyes filled with excitement and determination. The news of the Senzu bins had shaken the world, and it was only a matter of time before the Don Quixote family made their move. Chapter 17. Information arrives in Tato Land regarding the news that Kaido was causing a commotion at the naval headquarters. The incident was still ongoing, so many people were dissatisfied with the Marines for letting Kaido escape. After creating a disturbance at the naval headquarters, he left without a trace. This is equivalent to someone peeing on your head. Put your pants on and go. Naturally, the Marines did not announce the news of the Senzu bin to the world. On the contrary, they blocked it. Otherwise, the whole world would be in crisis if news of the existence of the bin spread. Days later, Whole Cake Island in the main hall, Big Mom was enjoying her afternoon tea. She didn't want anyone to disturb her, so basically only the vassals who were related by blood were in the hall, and the whole hall basically only needed her boisterous laughter. At that moment, Kitakuri rushed in. Big Mom, who was sitting on the throne, did not notice his strangeness, but the brothers saw Kitakuri's hurry and frowned. Kitakuri is the type of person who doesn't change his face even when landslides happen in front of him. Something must have happened for him to be in such a hurry today. When he arrived before Big Mom, he ignored the established rules and said directly, "Mom, I received an important message." Big Mom was a little dissatisfied because Kitakuri's report interrupted her afternoon tea, but Kitakuri's strength in the Big Mom pirates was considered top-notch. For Big Mom, he is one of the most valuable children, so Big Mom had to give him some face. Big Mom only said in a somewhat impatient tone, "Wait until I finish tasting the afternoon tea, Kitakuri." After hearing the words, Kitakuri did not leave, but continued. "Mom, it's very important, it will affect the pattern of the Big Mom pirates, and even the whole world." Big Mom did not prevent Kitakuri from reporting the news. After hearing Kitakuri report that Kaido had caused a riot at the naval headquarters, Big Mom's face turned ugly. Is that why that reckless man Kaido has been doing these things so frequently? Kitakuri showed no fear and said, "No. Mom, this is not surprising. When Kaido faced Garp and Sengoku, two of the best Marines, he was already covered in scars. After Admiral Kizaru returned, he was attacked and seriously injured, but he took a bin, which healed all the wounds he had accumulated during the battle." Big Mom couldn't help but raise her eyebrows, showing a look of surprise, and the others around looked at Kitakuri, very surprised. "What else was there?" Kitakuri added. "This information comes from our informants in the Marines, and it's very reliable. And according to the informant, it is likely that the bin that Kaido took out is related to the fourth calamity of the beast pirates." This time, Big Mom's mind completely changed and showed an unexpected expression. The fourth Calamity? When did that guy Kaido recruit a fourth Calamity? Why wasn't I informed? And what kind of beans? Where are they from? Big Mom is the queen of industry. Compared to other people, she has more extensive channels of information, but she had not heard the news of the fourth Calamity in the Beast Pirates. What is that guy Kaido planning? Chapter 18, Conversation with Big Mom. After hearing Katakuri's report, Big Mom called Kaido directly. Kaido was having a party, and while he was drinking, he answered. Big Mom didn't say much and spoke directly. Kaido, I heard that you, the Beast Pirates, recently developed something good. When Kaido heard this voice, even after many years, he immediately knew what the matter was about. Me. Linlin. It's really a rare guest. I didn't expect you to call me personally. In other words, how long has it been since we heard each other's voices? 5 years? 8 years, or more than 10 years? Big Mom's tone from the opposite side was a bit impatient. Kaido, stop talking nonsense, answer my question. My people have received information. Do you have a magic bin? Kaido drank his drinks and laughed out loud. Linlin, still as attentive as ever. He has known Big Mom for many years, who is also a competitor for many years, so he knows this woman's sources very well. Kaido no longer tries to hide anything and resolutely admits, yes. Linlin, I recently obtained something good called the Senzu bean. Kaido laughed smugly. Kaido, are you drinking again, you bastard? Without worrying about this matter, Big Mom continued to ask her doubts. Did I hear that it can resurrect the dead? The drunk Kaido did not react for a while. He was really surprised by how she knew it had the effect of bringing back the dead. He did not tell anyone about it. But quickly, Kaido figured it out. When he finally left the naval headquarters, he left behind 4 beans. From this look, the Marines have investigated the true effect of this bean. Kaido said. Yes, it has the powerful effect of resurrecting the dead, but it is short-lived. If the time of death is too long, it cannot be used. This is also the reason why Sengoku's aunt was able to resurrect. Since if the time is a little longer, then it will lose its effect. Now that the Marines have discovered the effect of the magic beans, Kaido no longer hides anything and responds very calmly. The sound of Big Mom's heavy breathing sounded from the opposite side. Obviously, after getting the definitive answer, she was not calm. This made Kaido feel very proud, and he couldn't help but laugh. Whirro. Big Mom on the other side heard Kaido's petulant laughter, which made her very unhappy, but she still suppressed her dissatisfaction and asked with a deep voice about the fourth Calamity. After Kaido heard the words, perhaps due to the effect of alcohol, he became more excited. He is the newcomer I recently recruited, and now he is the fourth Calamity of our Beast Pirates, Jigen. He is an amazing scientist, and the Senzubins were his research and development. He is the Vegapunk of our Beast Pirates. No. He is better than Vegapunk in my opinion. Kaido shamelessly boasted about Jigen. As for where Jigen is now, he never leaves the laboratory. Researching. Unexpectedly, his daughter, Yamato, became a little interested in him and joined to help him in his research. After Kaido talked for a while, Big Mom was still very worried about Jigen, the new Calamity of the Beast Pirates. She used to want to unearth King under Kaido. He comes from a special tribe. After all, she is Big Mom, and as such, she has great power in the pirate world. However, after hearing Kaido's presentation about Jigen, she felt a little insecure. Of course, this is a follow-up matter. At present, she is more interested in the benefits that can be obtained quickly. Kaido, make a price. Big Mom was very greedy about this matter. Kaido sneered after hearing this. Linlin, even though I drank, I am not drunk. Those beans are extremely precious. Our Beast Pirates group doesn't have enough. How can we sell them to you? Kaido arched his eyebrows and continued meaningfully, moreover, we are in a competitive relationship now. Saying that, Kaido hung up the microphone without waiting for Big Mom to speak again. Knowing her, she will bring up that matter again. Without thinking more about these things, he raised a sake cup in his hand and loudly said, Guys, let's keep celebrating. New World. A pirate ship was docked on the coast of an uninhabited island. One of the 4 emperors of the New World, Shanks, was originally resting when he received some news from the outside group. Chapter 19, Marco brings the Senzubin. Shanks was resting on a deserted island when he received a message from a captain of the outer regiment. At first, after hearing the outer regiment captain report that they had a war with the Beast Pirates over a territorial issue, he thought the outer regiment captain was just informing him of the conflict and didn't care too much. The 4 emperors occupy the second half of the Grand Line and are in the same sea. Conflict is inevitable, not to mention they are still pirates, and won't hold back at all, doing things according to their own nature. But soon, the outer regiment captain said excitedly, Boss. If it's just a simple conflict, I won't bother to inform you at all. After following you for so many years, I also know many rules on the sea. After hearing the words, Shanks couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. He straightened his tone and said, "Tell me. We had a conflict with a fleet of beast pirates under the command of Jack, and we had a big fight at sea. It was a close battle, but we were able to survive." The outer regiment captain's tone became solemn, however, that Jack pulled out a bean, which looked very common. We didn't pay much attention to it at the time, and he took it. Then something incredible happened, boss. You can't imagine that after taking the bean, a green light came out of his body and all his wounds healed, even his aura slowly recovered to its peak in an instant. It's also because of this change that we finally lost the battle and lost an outer island. Shanks listened, frowning. Beans? The other crew members also looked surprised and shocked. Ben Beckman muttered. What kind of bean is so powerful? I've been walking around the New World for so many years and never heard of it. On the opposite side, the captain was obviously not good enough. He coughed and his voice became hoarse. From Jack's mouth, it seems that this is related to the newly recruited disaster by Beast's pirates. Akagami still cares a lot about the outer group under his command. After letting the captain state his position, he made arrangements for someone to rescue him. After all follow-up matters were properly organized, he discussed it with the crew members. They have no idea about the new disaster of the beast pirates, nor about that bean. To know the truth of the matter, in the end, he had to make arrangements for informants to gather the latest information about the beast pirates. After the information was collected, the follow-up plan could be carried out. He even planned that if the informant couldn't collect information, then he would consider going to the world government in person to inquire about the information. This matter was not as simple as it seemed. The last area in the second half of the Grand Line is the territory of Whitebeard, known as the strongest man in the world. His outer groups are densely scattered throughout the sea, and each pirate group is a well-known pirate group in the New World. At this moment, Whitebeard had entered his twilight years, sitting on his throne with his bulky body full of needles, and even his nose was connected to a catheter. Whitebeard looked at his current children and was very happy. This is what he has been searching for his whole life. While Whitebeard enjoyed such a warm moment, his first division captain hurried over. The wooden shoes on his feet shook the crutches, showing the urgency of his mood at this moment. When he arrived at Whitebeard and saw his father's questioning eyes, Marco said without nonsense, "Father, I found something strange here." As a cheerful representative, Ace approached with curiosity and said, "Marco, what did you find? Look how nervous you are." Marco didn't want to play around and showed something in the palm of his hand. Everyone's eyes couldn't help but converge on Marco's palm, and even Whitebeard looked down. Looking at the green bins in Marco's hand, everyone's expressions were strange. Blackbeard, who was extremely discreet in the Whitebeard pirates, couldn't help but raise his eyebrows, not understanding what Marco meant by taking out this bean. The captains on the side expressed their doubts one after another, not understanding why he came in a hurry and then took out a bean. No matter how you look at it, it's just an ordinary bin without any special features. Whitebeard pondered. Marco had followed him for many years, he knew Marco very well, and silently waited for Marco's follow-up words. Ignoring the surprises of the surrounding comrades, Marco said with a deep voice, "Dad, this is what we found on the real fighters when we encountered the beast pirates. Almost everyone in the current beast pirates has these bins in their bodies to a greater or lesser extent. After eating the beans, all the wounds they suffered after the battle were healed. According to the information we pressed, these magical bins seem to come from the hands of the newly recruited fourth disaster." The people around were surprised. Ace even exclaimed, "Eating this bin will heal all the wounds in the body? It looks like an ordinary bin." Jaws took a bin and looked at it curiously. "One more thing, when did the fourth disaster appear in the beast pirates? Why didn't we receive the news?" Vista touched his chin and couldn't help but murmur. Sachi also took a bin, smiled, and said, "No matter what happened to this bean, I can make delicious fried beans looking at its appearance." He is the chef of the Whitebeard pirates, so he was just joking. Although Blackbeard is also very attentive, the most important thing for him at the moment is to find an opportunity to seize the dark fruit from Sachi's hands. If Sachi eats it, the problem will be big. On the throne, Whitebeard raised his eyebrows. He raised his big hand and took the bin from Sachi's hand, and then looked at it curiously in front of him. But no matter how you look at it, it's nothing special. Chapter 20, The Old Whitebeard is Back. After Whitebeard took the bean, he looked at it for a while but found nothing special. As the Supreme Lord of the Sea, Whitebeard is also very dominant. Since he can't see any clues, he can only eat it and try it. However, Whitebeard's direct approach surprised Marco and other captains. Ace jumped first and said, "Oi Audrey, what are you doing? You eat it without knowing what it is?" Marco was also nervous. Dad, this may be a trap laid by the beast pirates. Ace wanted to retrieve the magic bin from Whitebeard's mouth, but was surprised to find that the bin turned into a green light and entered his father's body after entering his mouth. On the plywood of the Moby Dick, everyone was speechless at the sight, and could only pray that there would be no problems with their father. Soon, Whitebeard's whole body was stunned, and then his eyes suddenly opened, and a green light burst out, and the green light quickly enveloped Whitebeard's whole body. Ace panicked when he saw this scene. Dad, are you okay? Quickly. Spit it out, Dad. Ace was nervous, wanting Whitebeard to spit out the beans. Everyone around also encouraged the same. Cluck. However, at this moment, Whitebeard suddenly burst out laughing. To the surprised eyes of everyone, Whitebeard's huge body stood up, then he grabbed Ace with one hand and pulled out all the infusion tubes from his body with the other. I feel like I'm in better shape than ever. Everyone was a bit confused for a while. What is happening in this situation? My father's illness is completely cured. Marco, the ship's doctor, immediately went to check Whitebeard's current physical condition. Immediately after his investigation, he was surprised to find that Whitebeard's current physical condition could not be better. The man over 70 years old is now in better condition than before. Whitebeard let go of Ace and the whole room was in shock. My father's illness is cured? What's the situation? Just because of that bean? Isn't it? It's a bit exaggerated. The members of the Whitebeard pirates were talking for a while, thinking that this was too incredible, but the fact was in front of them, which made them believe that the beans had powerful effects. Even Whitebeard himself, the strongest man, was beyond surprised. He looked at his body, although there were no changes in his appearance, but the changes within the body were felt, and for a moment he felt a trance. I have traveled to countless places in this world to find doctors. Even doctors with excellent medical skills have no way to treat my illness. I feel that my illness cannot be cured at all. I didn't expect that this seemingly ordinary bean actually cured me, and fundamentally cured me. The current state is like 10 years ago. Whitebeard's eyes burst into golden light, and the next second, a majestic impulse rose from his body, sweeping the audience instantly, which made some newcomers feel that breathing was a bit difficult and almost fainted. Fortunately, Whitebeard restrained himself. When Ace saw Whitebeard using Conqueror's Hockey, he smiled. Haha. I didn't expect that bean to make Dad return to the top. Marco, Sachi. The captains were also delighted. Looking at their own dominant and incomparable father, they felt like they had returned to more than 10 years ago. Now the powerful old man is back. Newgate began to experiment with his devil fruit ability after experimenting with his Conqueror's Hockey. With the ability released by the current Whitebeard, two huge terrifying waves were triggered on both sides of the Moby Dick. The huge waves were several hundred meters high, which surprised people. Whether it was his devil fruit ability or Conqueror's Hockey, the current Whitebeard can release it at will. This made everyone realize how terrible that bean was. Blackbeard, who didn't have much presence sense among the crowd, was horrified to see this scene. His eyes became dangerous and his heart was extremely depressed. As a result, his plan will undergo a big change. Originally, after wanting to capture the Yami no Mi, he would first escape from the Whitebeard pirates, go out to accumulate strength, and then return to take out the old remnant of Whitebeard. However, he did not expect the appearance of a bean to completely frustrate his plan. What the hell are the beast pirates inventing? Who is this fourth disaster? How can they make such powerful beans? It was not just Blackbeard who wondered about Jigen, but everyone on the Moby Dick. After Whitebeard and the other captains were delighted, they also began to think about this topic. What kind of person is the fourth disaster who can develop this bean? Whitebeard ordered immediate information on the fourth disaster no matter what. No one knows the news that Whitebeard accidentally got a senzu bean and cured the illness in his body. But now the forces in the world who have heard the news have their eyes on the beast pirates and have no intention of paying attention to other things. Jigen's first research and development technology made waves in the world. Naval Headquarters. In the office of the Fleet Admiral, Sengoku was sitting at the desk, surrounded by almost all of the top marine officers, Hiro Garp, Vice Admiral Tsuru, Chief of Staff, and the two admirals Okiji and Akanyu, and finally more than 10 veteran vice admirals. Everyone in the room was silent, waiting quietly for someone to come. Soon, footsteps sounded in the corridor outside the marshal's mansion. Everyone couldn't help but turn their eyes to the corridor. In the seat, Sengoku straightened his posture and entered a working state. Outside the door, Kizaru entered first, followed by a small old man in a white coat. The old man had something strange on top of his head, a long face, and his peculiar tongue protruded from his mouth. With bloodshot eyes under the lenses and deep dark circles under his eyes, Kizaru entered the door and exclaimed, "Marshal! Vegapunk is here!" The high-level Marines present couldn't help but tremble in their hearts, and their eyes were full of anticipation. I don't know how the scientific research on the Senzubin is progressing? Chapter 21, Check-in. Sengoku was the first to notice that Vegapunk was in a bad state. What did Vegapunk look like? Sengoku felt a small drum in his heart. The once confident Vegapunk had disappeared. Without waiting for everyone to ask, Vegapunk was the first to speak. This thing is really amazing. I haven't even seen the ingredients and I can't find the possibility of copying it. Although I am a little reluctant, I have to admit that even if you give me a year, or even a few years, I cannot understand the concept behind this. This sentence made all the present Marine executives look at each other, all a little surprised. When did this great scientist say such powerless words? The meaning of this is very obvious. Even if given many years, he cannot copy the Senzubin. Now all the Marine executives are uneasy. Who is this fourth disaster of the beast pirates? Someone asked. It was the first time everyone had seen Vegapunk, the great scientist, with such an embarrassed and powerless appearance. Vegapunk, as a scientist, is also very curious about this. As a result, there are only a few important people in the world scientific community. Where did this guy come from? The Marshal's palace fell silent once again, and everyone realized the gravity of the situation. Now the Senzubin can only be created by the beast pirates, and the balance may be about to break. Sengoku rubbed his eyebrows and the sea that had calmed down for a while showed signs of an imminent storm again, which gave the Marshal a headache. He said solemnly, Dr. Vegapunk, do your best. Vegapunk looked very powerless. It's not a matter of doing my best, Sengoku. Soon, Vegapunk, an expert in marine sciences, was dismissed, and Sengoku's face was very solemn. Anyway, we will find someone to break into the beast pirates. Otherwise, let the situation develop. I'm afraid Marine will face an invincible pirate group. Time passed quickly, and a month after Jigen joined the beast's pirates, the second technology was finally developed, the magic door. Looking at the pink door in front of him, Jigen laughed. Finally, it's done. Phew. You can rest for a few days. The door development is complete. Congratulations on opening the check-in function to become stronger. Check-in? Jigen repeated in surprise. Seeing the word stronger, Jigen is in a very good mood. He is still an ordinary person now. Although he is under Kaido's protection now. In this world, only if you have strength can you have the confidence and capital to really set foot in this world. Jigen was eager to ask the system, and the system did not disappoint him. Host, you only need someone to use the technology you developed every day, and the number of times you need to meet the check-in requirements. After the registration is successful, the system will give you a skill immediately. The system is also very considerate to give an example to Jigen. For example, one of the improvements of Conqueror's Haki, or physical strength, swordsmanship, etc., and even if you are lucky, you can also obtain the ability of some devil fruits. Jigen's heart was racing and he was ecstatic to hear this. Before he could sigh with excitement, the voice of the system sounded again. It has been detected that someone has used the Senzubin you developed 10 times today. Today's registration task, Senzubin 10 out of 10, today's registration was successful. Get a reward, armament Haki, 1 year of training. As soon as the sound of the system fell, Jigen felt that something inexplicable was inserted into his mind, and after searching for a while, he found that it was related to the use of armament Haki. His armament Haki directly improved the results after a year of training. Looking at armament Haki in his hands slightly darkened. Jigen couldn't help but smile. He was so excited that he just reached a national quintessence, abandoning the slot machine. Is this too much? With this registration function, he doesn't need any kind of training. As long as he finishes registering every day, he can become stronger directly. Is this what it means to be able to become stronger while lying down? Jigen couldn't describe the comfort in his heart. Originally, he wanted to wait a few days to rest and discuss his life ideals with Yamato, his new assistant, and then practice with her for a while to have some strength to protect himself in this world. Just when Jigen felt that the future was bright, the voice of the system sounded again. Host, you have unlocked a new technology, Universal Capsule. In addition to unlocking, pick cards. After Jigen heard the words, he couldn't help but retract his expression and muttered repeatedly. Universal Capsule, another technology that crushes the technology of this world. Chapter 22, Magic Door. After Jigen developed the Magic Door, the system not only unlocked the new check-in function, but also unlocked the next technology, the Universal Capsule. Like the Senzubin, this item is from Dragon Ball and is very convenient. In this world where transportation must be operated by boats, this is undoubtedly a great technology. This thing can add color to the beast pirates again. Jigen thought happily. He now truly feels that the future is bright, and all roads lead to Rome. Quickly recovering his thoughts, Jigen is not the complacent type and began experimenting with the magic door in front of him. After thinking about it, Jigen felt that he should first experiment and then take credit for Kaido, or rather, the Bailey. He simply opened the magic door, not needing to think at all about where to go, because he had traveled to 2 places in this world for about 4 months. One is the island where he woke up, and the other is Onigashima, where he is currently located. With the handle opening, the scene immediately reflects in Jigen's eyes, only to see that this is a splendid beach with a dense forest not far from the beach. "I'm back," Jigen said with a smile. Jigen had the slight feeling that he was back home. According to his understanding during this period of time, this island is more than 1,000 miles away from Onigashima, but now the 2 islands are connected to each other, and he only needs to pass through a door to reach it instantly. It's just too incredible. Jigen smiled pleased, once again making something great. Thinking about life on Onigashima in the past month, whether it was Kaido, the brutal Kun master, or the terrifying 3 disasters, they have treated him very well, without causing him any grievances, and completely satisfied his own requirements, otherwise his research and development progress would not be so fast. In addition, there is Yamato, who has been talking about the ideal life for so long and about being Odin. How can he give up halfway? Thinking about this, Jigen once again looked towards the small island where he had been staying for 3 months, and then returned to the laboratory where he was. After testing the magic door, Jigen no longer hesitated to take it to find Kaido. Not long after, Onigashima was trembling. In the main hall, the executives, the 3 disasters, part of the Tobrupos, etc. almost all of the beast pirates arrived here, and even the barbarians appeared one after another. The hall was full of people, and everyone was talking about whether Jigen, the natural disaster, had created a new technology. Those who received a positive response eagerly awaited the presentation of the new technology. As soon as Jigen appeared, the scene was filled with excitement and cheers. "Lord Jigen is here. Lord Calamity, look this way, look this way. Lord Calamity, the magic bin you developed is really great. Almost all recent battles of our beast pirates are great victories. Lord Jigen, you are my savior." The crowd continued to sing. Kaido couldn't help but snort with dissatisfaction and roared. "Jigen, why do you feel more like a captain than me?" Jigen smiled awkwardly. To be honest, he felt the same way. The people below were too enthusiastic. Indeed. Kaido, as always drunk, said it jokingly, not taking it too seriously. Now Jigen has a very high status among his subordinates. Kaido values talents very much. And this boy, even more so. "Alright. Jigen, let's take a look at your new achievements." Kaido chuckled. He roughly knew what the technology of this research and development was. On the other hand, the others didn't know, so they couldn't help but feel very curious, all looking at Jigen, afraid of missing any details. He grinned. "Alright." He lifted the thing covered in cloth in front of him. Under everyone's attention, the pink door was displayed in front of everyone. The color was chosen by Yamato. Although this girl is called a man, she cannot help but find this color attractive. Kaido involuntarily raised his eyebrows. "This is the door that allows you to go wherever you want?" The 3 disasters and the other members of the beast pirates in the main hall were stunned when they saw this door. "Is this new technology? It looks like an ordinary door. What is the use of this thing? And why the hell is it pink?" However, with the amazing achievements of the Senzu Bean, no one questioned or showed dissatisfaction. Afraid that Kaido would experiment on them like he did with Jack. Queen, the scientist, immediately stepped forward and carefully observed the arbitrary door, but no matter how much he observed, he couldn't imagine the use of this door. Jack, the straightforward person, took a look and didn't know what it was, and asked directly. "Jigen-san, what is this door for?" Jigen smiled and briefly presented the function. "With this door, you can go wherever you want, the only premise is that it is a place where the user has been." As soon as these words came out, there was a great exclamation in the hall. Everyone's eardrums suffered greatly at this moment. It can be said that this technology is super broken in this sea. You can directly arrive and go wherever you want, completely leaving out the time to sail and avoiding the danger of the sea. Whether it's on a mission or for any other purpose, it's an artifact. Kaido had heard Jigen say this before, so he wasn't surprised at that moment. He walked towards the arbitrary door and asked, "Jigen, how should this door be used?" Jigen waved his hand casually. "It's very simple, just think of a place you've been and open the door." Queen was simply stunned. "Is it that simple?" The people in the hall were also amazed at the simplicity of use. "It feels too dreamy." Kaido had no doubts or hesitations. He laughed, then stretched out his big hand and grabbed the doorknob. Chapter 23, Meeting Orochi Wano Country. Capital of the Flowers. Kurizumi Orochi was sitting in the general seat, enjoying the song and dance in front of him. Many beauties were serving him on one side, while Kyoshiro's personal guard was not far away. "Alright. Very good. Put a little more power into twisting your waist." Orochi was having a great time. Suddenly, a pink door appeared in front of Kurizumi Orochi. This sudden change made Orochi's face change directly. A devil fruit user? He quickly took a few steps back, turned his head and shouted at Kyoshiro. "Quick! Escort! Escort!" He cursed inwardly, but without hesitation, he protected the snake in front of him, holding the long sword around his waist in his hand. In his vigilant eyes, he saw this pink door open. After seeing people come out of the door, both Kyoshiro and Orochi were bewildered. "Kaido?" Kyoshiro was surprised. What was going on? Why did Kaido suddenly come out from behind a door? Seeing Kaido come out of the room, the people in Orochi's mansion were stunned and did not understand what was happening in front of them. After seeing Kaido, Orochi also opened his eyes wide, opened his mouth and exclaimed. "Kaido? Why are you here?" "No. How did you get here and what happened to that door?" Not only did Kaido enter through the door, but Jigen, Jack, King, and Queen did as well. Kyoshiro noticed something unusual. Between Kaido and the pictures, there was a face he had never seen before. He looked very young, but he was definitely not a simple person who could follow the high ranks of the beast pirates. With his thoughts running quickly, he couldn't help but squint his eyes and look deeply at Jigen. Could this young man be? As a bodyguard alongside Orochi, Orochi is a close collaborator of Kaido. Naturally, Kyoshiro heard that there is another disaster in the beast pirates. Could it be the guy in front of him? Kyoshiro took a deep breath. On the opposite side, Kaido and the others ignored Orochi's surprise. They looked around, and their faces couldn't help but show surprise and joy, which made their eyes light up. Even the calm and indifferent king couldn't keep his composure. "It's really amazing, it's the birth of another artifact," Queen exclaimed loudly. "It feels like the two regions are connected. After living for so long, if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed it at all," Queen said while biting the cigar. "This involves the spatial field. It's shocking," King said in a deep voice. Orochi saw that Kaido and the others ignored him, and felt dissatisfied for a while, and couldn't help clenching his teeth in secret. But the truth is that thanks to Kaido, he can suppress the rebels in Wano. So he can only grumble in silence. Smiling, he approached Kaido and said, "Kaido, what's the situation with this door?" Kaido then noticed Orochi, listening to his question. Kaido couldn't help smiling. "This is the latest technological achievement of our beast pirates. This door is called the magic door or arbitrary door, and, as you can see, it can connect to anywhere you want to go." Kaido did not intend to explain too much to him, but simply indicated the function. However, this simple acceptance was enough to make waves in the hearts of Orochi, Kyoshiro and others. Does such technology really exist in the world? Orochi was a little confused, and couldn't believe the facts in front of him. After Kaido heard the words, he laughed. "There is no such thing in this world, but with the fourth disaster under my command, nothing is impossible. Orochi, I'd like to introduce you to our new member of the beast pirates, the technological disaster Jigen," said Kaido, pushing Jigen in front of him. This arbitrary door, and the senzu bins of the beast pirates, are from his hands. Both Orochi and Kyoshiro couldn't help looking at Jigen. The former showed an unbelievable expression. Is he so young? Such scientific research skills at such an early age? His ability is only to have 8 lives, and as long as he has a stock of senzu bins, he can have many more lives. Something quite attractive to a rat like him. Jigen smiled and greeted, but complained in his heart. He really saw this guy. He's several times more horrible than when he saw the anime in his previous life. Orochi rubbed his hands, smiling attentively in front of Jigen and saying, "Jigen-san, I have admired your name for a long time. I have always wanted to meet you. I am the daimyo of Wanaguni, Kurizumi Orochi." Orochi saw that Kaido attached great importance to Jigen and, like the rat he is, courteously treated Jigen. Although the young man in front of him had no strength, the things he developed were of great value, and he could take advantage of. If he can please Jigen, maybe he can get some beans. Kyoshiro also greeted politely and did not dare to show suspicion. Jack, who was behind Kaido, had been bored all this time. After thinking about it, he approached Kaido and said, "Kaido-san, can you lend me a door?" Chapter 24, Kaido in Dressrosa. Jack intends to use the convenience of this door to go to Dressrosa to negotiate with Doflamingo for the artificial devil fruit. Almost a month ago, a batch of artificial devil fruits was delayed to help Jigen purchase materials for the research and development of the magic door, so this time it must be exchanged. At Jack's request, Kaido agreed immediately. After all, This was developed to facilitate the transportation of the beast's pirates in the future. Jack was overjoyed when his captain agreed. After seeing the magic of this new experiment, he wanted to try it out, and now he finally had the opportunity. Soon, everyone closed the arbitrary door, which allowed the connection between Onishima and Orochi's mansion to be cancelled. Jack took the lead, imagined Dressrosa, and opened the door expectantly. As soon as the door opened, what caught everyone's attention was the port of Dressrosa. His eyes shone and he exclaimed in a very novel way. I really arrived in Dressrosa in an instant. Orochi's mansion is in Wano country, not far from Onigashima, so not everyone feels too much amazement. But now that Dressrosa, which is thousands of kilometers away, appears in front of everyone, this feeling is still very different. It's like two completely different times and spaces are connected together. Full of joy, Jack turned his head to look at Jigen. This arrogant guy actually praised Jigen directly. Jigen-san, you are truly the most incredible genius I have ever seen in my life. Jigen laughed. It was possible to develop it so quickly thanks to you obtaining the explosive rock. Jack shook his head but said seriously. To seize the explosive rock, there are many candidates in the beast's pirates, and you are the only one who can develop such an artifact. He said humbly. Jack was not stingy with his own praise at all. It was a bit embarrassing for him to say so many words of praise for this rough man, which also showed the growing sentiment in Jack's heart now. King and Queen, who had nothing to do, also passed through the door and looked in amazement at the world behind the door. On the other hand, Kirizumi Orochi and Kyoshiro saw the whole process of using the arbitrary door for the first time and were once again deeply shocked in their hearts. Is it really that simple? This is a suitable way to use it for fools. Such a simple function is so easy to use that it is far beyond the imagination of the two. Orochi, Kyoshiro, and the others looked at Jigen again. What exactly is in this guy's mind? Doflamingo naturally didn't notice anything. In the palace hall, Doflamingo was holding a family meeting, discussing the details of the artificial devil fruit deal. Doflamingo plans to go to Jack personally so that he can learn some things from Jack's mouth and ask about the Senzubin and the news about the new disaster of the beasts. Not only that, the Don Quixote family also has an extremely bold idea, that is, they plan to stop providing artificial devil fruits exclusively for the beast's pirates and plan to expand the channel of artificial devil fruits and cooperate with other major forces. Although it is said that the success rate of the artificial devil fruit is only 20%, and those who fail will lose their emotions and become incomplete people who can only laugh, in the face of a great improvement, the major forces will not give up buying the artificial devil fruit. Take the beast's pirates as an example. After a few years of accumulation, the artificial devil fruit turned their beast's pirates into one of the supreme lords in the second half of the New World. So, as long as Doflamingo wants to expand his sales channels, he doesn't have to worry about not having buyers. This is also taking into account a change in the beast's pirates today. Once the beast's pirates continue like this, with the help of the Senzubin and the improved artificial devil fruit, I'm afraid no one will be able to repress the beast's pirates. And right in the middle of the meeting, a servant suddenly rushed in, interrupting the family meeting. Doflamingo couldn't help but have blue veins twitching between his eyebrows. He was extremely dissatisfied with this reckless servant. The things they were discussing now were all family secrets. If this reached Kaido's ears, then he couldn't bear Kaido's anger. Are you a spy? He showed a bad expression. The assistant was so scared that he fell to his knees on the ground. He quickly explained. Young master, I'm not a spy. There is very important news to report to you. Kaido has appeared in the port. Doflamingo couldn't help but raise his eyebrows when he heard the words, and other family officials were surprised when they heard that Kaido appeared in the port. Why did Kaido come here? What is the situation? Are you here to exchange this batch of artificial devil fruit? But isn't that usually handled by Jack? Everyone was very surprised, not expecting that this time Kaido would come in person. The assistant's forehead was covered in cold sweat and he stuttered. No, not only did Kaido arrive, but also the 3 disasters under his command. What? This directly unsettled Doflamingo. His face turned a little gloomy and countless doubts appeared in his heart. Before the assistant could finish speaking, he continued. They passed through a door and appeared on the pier. Doflamingo and the family members were all lost. What the hell, passing through a door? The crowd was nervous and confused. Doflamingo pondered for a moment and said. Anyway, let's go see it first. After that, he directly used his ability to fly towards the port. Seeing this, the family members behind him hurried towards the port. Doflamingo was at a high altitude and could see the situation of the port from a distance. Kaido, along with the 3 disasters. He took a deep breath and the pupils beneath his sunglasses violently trembled. Everything is really there. Chapter 25, Don Quixote family shaken. Doflamingo and other top members of the family watched as the formidable beast pirates descended on Dressrosa's port, and couldn't help but feel uneasy. They were truly worried that the plan they discussed would be known by Kaido and the others, and that this time it would end. Doflamingo, who was in the sky, also noticed something, that is, behind everyone, there is a door. The scene inside this door is completely different from the scene in Dressrosa, which fills him with doubt. And he also noticed a strange face among the high-level executives. Kaido knew that Doflamingo was in the sky, sneered, "Joker, how long do you want me to wait?" Upon hearing Kaido's tone, Doflamingo felt relieved. It seems that Kaido didn't come here to cause trouble this time, so he didn't hesitate and used his ability to land in front of Kaido directly. When he arrived at Kaido's side, he immediately showed a smile on his face. He first expressed his apology for the mishap of not welcoming him, and then greeted the others. Kaido said in a low voice, "Joker, stop talking nonsense, hurry up and get this batch of artificial devil fruits." Doflamingo smiled and nodded. Naturally. After he finished speaking, he turned his head to look at Treble. "Contact the people at the factory and ask them to bring the artificial devil fruit here." After finishing the arrangement, Doflamingo continued with a smile. "Kaido, it still needs some time. Would you like to come to my palace for a drink?" Kaido waved his hand directly. "Don't worry about it." Seeing Kaido's refusal, Doflamingo stopped talking about it. He tried to change the subject and said, "What is that door behind?" When he approached, Doflamingo could clearly see the situation inside the door. On the opposite side was Orochi, which surprised him a lot. They were two completely different spaces connected to each other, giving him a kind of extreme disobedience. This made him very curious. Kaido said with a slight smile after hearing the words. "Worororo. This is our latest development of the beast pirates, called the Magic Door." "Magic Door?" After hearing the words, the officials of the Don Quixote family murmured with curiosity. Doflamingo is also very interested. "So, what is the function of this door?" Upon hearing this, Kaido couldn't help but show pride on his face. "As you can see, this door can go wherever you want to go, as long as you have been to the place, you can instantly reach it by opening the door smoothly." Doflamingo and the top members of the Don Quixote family were stunned for a while, because this was too incredible. Doflamingo didn't know what to say. This kind of technology was completely beyond his imagination. Suddenly, he thought of what Caesar said when he contacted him before, that the band materials he bought for Kaido would probably study technology related to the space field. Is that the door in front of him? Has it been less than a month since this time, and they have developed space-related technology that Vegapunk cannot make progress in? Doflamingo had many thoughts and couldn't calm the waves for a long time. Soon he took a deep breath and tentatively asked, "Is this also the result of research and development of the new disaster?" Kaido simply responded, "Yes." After speaking, he pushed Jigen onto the stage again and proudly introduced Jigen. "This young man is the new disaster of our beast pirates, the scientific disaster. It is he who has made a big difference for us." Kaido is the same as before. When he talks about Jigen, he is very excited and constantly helps him to boast, without Jigen speaking. Everyone in the Don Quixote family was stunned when they heard it. First, they were surprised that Jigen had such terrible scientific research ability at such a young age. Secondly, Kaido valued Jigen so much that he could give him such a high rank in his own mouth. Jigen did nothing, said nothing, but Kaido said everything. Doflamingo and the family members have deeply engraved Jigen in their minds. The man in front of them just joined the beast pirates a month ago and has developed 2 super technologies. He will undoubtedly make waves all over the world. The 4th disaster cannot be underestimated. I'm afraid he is the most terrifying person among the 3 disasters. It can be said that he is the most feared character. Perhaps the world will be changed by this kid in the future. Suppressing the thousands of thoughts in his heart, Doflamingo showed a smile on his face again and extended his hand to greet Jigen. After some talks, all the artificial devil fruits were handed over. With the help of the subordinates of the Don Quixote family, these artificial devil fruits were sent back to Wano. After exchanging the artificial devil fruit, Kaido left Dressrosa with Jigen and others. Seeing the arbitrary door disappear out of nowhere, everyone in the Don Quixote family cannot digest the fact that it is right in front of them. After all, this technology is so advanced that it's like someone suddenly holding a gun in front of you in the Stone Age. Chapter 26, Kaido causes trouble again after returning to Wano country and arranging for his subordinates to transport the artificial devil fruit to Onigashima. The others became interested in the magic door. Especially the Tobirapo who liked to cause trouble in the New World. Jack had already experienced it and they wanted to try it again. After all, it was too new. As they watched the Beast's Pirates executives experiment with the magic door one by one, Orochi on the side also rubbed his hands and wanted to try it, but Kaido mercilessly rejected him. Orochi wanted to continue persuading, but Kaido directly led the crowd and left the mansion. Orochi could only watch Kaido and the others return to Onigashima, and the arbitrary door disappeared in front of everyone. Shit. As soon as they disappeared, Orochi scolded loudly. Bastard, Kaido doesn't even care about my face, he didn't even let me try it. After speaking, he couldn't help but show a smile on his face. However, that door is so convenient to use, it doesn't matter if you haven't tried it, hee. His eyes narrowed, full of insidiousness. Whatever happens, you have to find a chance to get one of those doors. This is great. Orochi thinks that Kaido can't just create a single door, it will definitely be popular in the Beast's Pirates. As long as there are more random doors, he will have a chance to get one. With this thing, he doesn't have to fear any danger he may encounter in the future. As a miserable guy who fears death, Orochi's first thought is to use the door to escape. And Kyoshiro also had the idea, not just the magic door, but also the senzu beans. Onigashima. After Kaido and the others returned to the main hall, the exhibition of the magic door basically ended. I thought of a place to have fun, Jigen, King. Are you interested in coming? Everyone was stunned, not understanding what Kaido meant by having fun. Kaido-san, Jigen-san can't keep up with your madness. Jack, as a loyal fan of Jigen, intervened quickly. God knows where his captain will go to cause trouble this time. Don't worry. As long as we're here, you're absolutely safe. This time, King spoke. He had already considered Jigen part of the Beast's Pirates, so naturally he would protect him. In everyone's eyes, Jigen is still an ordinary person without any strength. Jigen didn't say much, but wondered where Kaido was going to have fun this time. Soon, Kaido reopened the pink door and everyone passed through the arbitrary door to a prosperous city. The people around were startled when they saw the appearance of the pirates, causing a commotion. Kaido and the others didn't pay attention to the reactions of the people around them. Jigen couldn't help but ask. Where is this place? King was the first to answer Jigen's question. This is a residence of the Whitebeard Pirates. The home of the Whitebeard Pirates. Jigen was stunned when he heard the words. After that, Jigen was speechless for a while. Kaido went to the Navy headquarters not long ago to cause a commotion, and in a few days, he directly found the hideout of the Whitebeard Pirates. As expected of a lonely four emperors who was unwilling to stay quiet. Wuro, old Whitebeard, come out. After laughing, Kaido turned into a huge blue dragon and soared into the sky. The enormous body almost allowed the entire village to see Kaido's figure, and the entire village burst into exclamations. Kaido? Why is Kaido here? Come on, Kaido is here. The crowd dispersed. Soon, the alarm bells sounded throughout the village. Whitebeard also appeared on the observation platform. The blue dragon floating high in the distance was extremely eye-catching, and all the pictures showed expressions of surprise. Kaido? Why are you here? Marco, Ace, Sachi. After seeing this, they all followed their father. Over the void, Kaido lowered his body a bit. He looked at Whitebeard and said with a faint smile. Edward, unexpectedly you're here. Whitebeard narrowed his eyes and asked. Why are you here? Just as the leaders of both sides confronted each other, Marco, who was behind Whitebeard, examined the opponent's lineup and quickly judged the situation in front of him. At this moment, Marco suddenly discovered the discordant door behind the Beast's Pirates. Chapter 27, Another presentation by Kaido. Marco noticed the door behind the Beast's Pirates. What is that door behind them? Marco exclaimed. It's really unusual, the scene inside is completely different in time and space from this bustling city, which seems quite inconsistent. At the sound of his exclamation, everyone else also noticed the door behind the Beast's Pirates, and looking at the different scene inside, they were all a bit confused and had no idea what was going on. That place inside seems to be. Izo mentioned in a deep voice. Ace was different. His eyes opened with a swoosh, and his expression was a bit horrified. That's right. It's Onigashima, what the hell is going on? He had been to Onigashima before and caused a lot of trouble when Kaido wasn't there, it was also when he met Yamato. So Ace was sure that the opposite of the door was Onigashima. Ace's words surprised everyone. Onigashima? It's a few days' journey from Wano country, this door is a bit weird. This door seems to connect our village with Kaido's base, what the hell is this? Everyone in the Whitebeard Pirates had numb scalps, and Blackbeard in the crowd dropped his jaw in shock, completely ignorant of what was happening in front of him. In front of everyone, Whitebeard narrowed his eyes, pondered for a moment, and then said, it's very likely that this is also the new invention of the fourth calamity of the Beast's Pirates. Whitebeard thought of the Senzu bean. The previous Beast's Pirates didn't have that technology. After the new calamity appeared, there were always baffling operations, so there was no need to think about other things. The new Calamity? That pin is already amazing enough, and now it has created this incredible portal. This natural disaster has nothing else to invest its time in? Everyone is amazed and wants to know where the new Calamity is. Whitebeard narrowed his eyes slightly and looked at the beast's pirates in front of him forcefully, as if he could see through people's hearts. On the opposite side, Gigant was unconsciously protected by everyone, and through space, he saw the Whitebeard pirates on the opposite side. The strong man in front with a white mustache is the most conspicuous. Standing there alone, he looks like an unreachable giant beak, with extremely authoritative power. He was the strongest man. Whitebeard. Looking at his appearance, he is indeed dominant. After Whitebeard looked at him, he said with a deep voice. "What's with that door behind you?" Here, king, queen, and others didn't say anything. They thought it was a trump card of the beast's pirates, and didn't want to tell the Whitebeard pirates about it. After all, if the two sides were to fight in the future, this new invention could be considered a strategic weapon. However, Kaido in the sky only wanted to act in front of Whitebeard. After all, they were old nakamas, and he wanted to let Whitebeard know that the beast's pirates today are no longer the beast's pirates they used to be. Then Kaido began to brag as he did in Manaford. This door is called Whatever Magical, and it's the coolest travel artifact in the world. According to the user's thoughts, they can go wherever they want. Kaido obviously didn't mention the restrictions the user is bound by before they can go to the place. Below, the other crew members were speechless. Why did he say it directly when asked? This way, if there is a war between the two sides, the other side can devise a strategy. But after following their own captain for so long, they know Kaido's character and can only silently curse. Kaido is extravagant and, at times, easy to deceive. On the opposite side of the Whitebeard pirates, everyone was stunned after hearing the purpose of the arbitrary door. Go wherever you want? Ace couldn't help but sweat on his forehead. This door is too scary, isn't it? Marco was also horrified. Everyone's heart was shocked by the function of this door. This is an absolute artifact diffused for sneak attacks. Imagine, in the middle of the night when no one is prepared, the beast pirates arrive at the resting place through this door, silently bringing some explosives and then detonating. Even a strong man like Whitebeard would die without warning. Above the sky, Kaido saw the astonished expression of Whitebeard, felt happy and laughed out loud. Obviously at this moment Kaido is a little overwhelmed. After talking about the door, he began to introduce Jigen. I would like to introduce you to the fourth calamity of our beast pirates, the scientific calamity. Ugh, cluck, cluck. When it comes to Jigen, Kaido's mood is even more joyful. He looks up at the sky and smiles. These technological inventions beyond this era are all from his hands. I can foresee that it will lead our beast pirates to greatness and the pinnacle of the world. In the face of Kaido's arrogance, Whitebeard did not refute, but turned his gaze towards Jigen. The rest of the Whitebeard pirates also looked at Jigen one after another. He's so young. Marco was surprised. I thought he would be an old man. Ace was also very surprised to see that Jigen was about the same age as him, as such a young man could develop such terrifying technology. Opposite, Jigen was observed by sharp eyes, without showing any nervousness. One is that he is now in a very safe position. 2. The door is behind him. If the situation doesn't go well, he can escape. 3. Jigen's character is the kind that acts calmer the more crisis he faces. Chapter 28. Nervous Blackbeard Jigen, who is under heavy protection, is a little embarrassed to say this. Suddenly he wondered, if after registering for a few years, his strength became fierce and terrifying, would Kaido and the others be surprised? He couldn't help but laugh a little when he thought of this. Kaido's and the others' expressions must be very exciting and he was looking forward to it. To contain these wild thoughts, Jigen couldn't help but look at the Whitebeard pirates in front of him. To be honest, these anime characters are now standing in front of him, and there is an inexplicable feeling of excitement. Phoenix Marco. Fire Fist Ace. Diamond Joe's. Foil Vista. Jigen looked at them one by one and suddenly made a strange sound. Huh. Blackbeard. He muttered with annoyance. You still haven't awakened. His eyes suddenly shifted towards Ace and Sachi. Jigen stayed in on Nigashima before and didn't pay much attention to the news from the outside world, so he was a little surprised to see Blackbeard under Edward Newgate's nose. Everyone's attention in the Whitebeard pirates is now on Jigen. When they heard his words, they couldn't help but look at Blackbeard, showing doubts. Blackbeard immediately panicked and pretended to be calm. Dad, that kid is talking nonsense. I am loyal to my father and the others, I will never defect from the Whitebeard pirates. He said that, but his heart was horrified. How could this kid know that he was going to defect from the Whitebeard pirates? What the hell? And he just mentioned Sachi and Ace, who? Blackbeard felt like his heart was about to jump out of his throat. Looking at Gigant was like looking at the devil. He didn't know why he got involved with Ace, but that's what he said, and now the dark fruit is in Sachi's hands, and he had to kill him to get his coveted fruit. What ability does this kid have? This is too terrifying. Blackbeard looked at his comrades' expressions with horror and found that none of them believed Gigant's words, and he felt a little relieved. Luckily for him. Above the sky, Kaido didn't care about these things, and couldn't wait for the two sides to face off for so long. With a whistle, his body made ripples in the air, and then he smiled and said, "Gigant, watch closely, this is fun." After that, Kaido's mouth expelled a terrifying heat. Dragon breath. On the opposite side, the Whitebeard pirates and other figures responded one after another, as if they were facing a great enemy. However, before Marco and other captains made their move, Whitebeard took the initiative. The momentum of his whole body began to steadily increase, and blue veins directly popped out on his arms. Kaido, fun isn't so easy to come by. After Whitebeard gained momentum, his fists bombarded both sides. With the activation of his collapse power fruit, the void began to break, like a mirror, and power surged, sweeping towards the heat. The attacks from both sides clashed quickly, and Whitebeard's terrifying power directly tore apart Kaido's breath, turning the breath into a dazzling fireworks display in the air. In the void, Kaido raised his eyebrows and noticed a difference. Below, Whitebeard chuckled softly. "Kaido, this heat is as soft as saliva." Without waiting for Kaido to get angry, Whitebeard once again took an attacking stance and said with a laugh, "Gorura." "Kaido, it seems this is all you've got." Whitebeard once again took an attacking stance, and the collapse power in his fists was activated, bombarding both sides of the island. The power rose again, and immediately on both sides of the island, it began to boil violently, cracks appeared, and the entire island began to vibrate violently. Kaido's face darkened after seeing the entire island below and the surrounding waters splitting in half. At this moment, the horror of this old friend of his, the power that can destroy the world, is on full display. With the boiling of the sea, an earthquake occurred in the sea, and then a huge wave rushed towards Kaido. The huge wave was hundreds of meters high, like a giant hand pressing down on Kaido. Kaido's pupil shrank violently. Faced with this scale of power, he dared not be careless at all. His huge body began to move in the void, and soon a violent hurricane appeared around him. The terrifying hurricane that could cut through steel cut towards the giant tsunami, and after a long stalemate, suffocated Whitebeard's attack. Everything has returned to calm, but the hearts of everyone on the Beast Pirates side cannot be calm. King looked at Whitebeard and said, "I don't notice any exhaustion from him at all, given his condition." Of course, this does not mean that Whitebeard is not strong in his eyes, but rather that Whitebeard is old and his body is deteriorating. Naturally, they have received news, but now Whitebeard seems to be completely at his peak. Whitebeard laughed, gave Kaido a mocking look, and finally his eyes fell on Gigant again and said, "My illness has been cured. All of this is also thanks to your little disaster. I must say, your magic bin is truly magical." These words suddenly made King, Queen, and the others look extremely ugly. Whitebeard's illness has been cured, which means the strongest man has returned. Now it's really a bit problematic. Everyone felt the pressure. After all, after Roger's death, Whitebeard occupied a dominant position for more than 10 years. In the sky, Kaido was surprised at first, but soon smiled. Instead, he seemed even more excited. "Oh? That's good, it's more interesting. I'll defeat you by force, old Whitebeard. I'll bring you down and become the strongest in the new world." Kaido began to spout nonsense again. But after his assertion, an extremely authoritative haki spread outwards, and a dark aura covered his dragon body. This time he looked quite serious. Chapter 29, Collision between two sides. The disappearance of Whitebeard's injury has made everyone in the Beast Pirates feel the pressure, but Kaido, the strongest creature who loves excitement, is even more excited. To him, it only makes sense to defeat Whitebeard. Below, Whitebeard narrowed his eyes and said, "Kaido, you can came to me today. The account between us must also be settled. Even if you don't came to me today, I will go to Wano to look for you." Kaido naturally knew what Whitebeard meant and said softly, "I'm sorry about Odin, it was too naive." Kaido has always been pondering over this matter. He knew that because of Whitebeard's condition, he didn't dare to come to Wano. But now that he has returned to the top, he naturally wants to avenge Odin. But Kaido's voice suddenly became low, and his eyes were weak, as if a phantom flame appeared. "What are we?" he asked Whitebeard, but he answered himself. "We are pirates. Do you think it's a game? As long as the winner is the king, there is nothing to fear." Kaido finished speaking and attacked again. He abandoned his human form and transformed into his hybrid form, swinging his mace towards Whitebeard. Gozen's Ragunaraku. Kaido's mace danced like a hurricane, floating at high speed over his head. In the sky, clouds began to emerge and thunder appeared. As soon as he shot, Kaido did his best and the momentum was extremely terrifying. Below, seeing Kaido's attack, Whitebeard didn't fall behind. Originally, Marco wanted to help Whitebeard, but he was stopped by Whitebeard. Stay back, Kaido is not something you can handle. Whitebeard raised a big knife in his hand, leaned to one side, his breath rose, and swung his knife. The black thunder on his body floated, wrapped around his body, and then gathered at the tip of the giant knife. Conqueror's hockey wrap. The long knife on his side was dragged to the ground by Whitebeard and then approached Kaido. Whitebeard stopped and the big knife slashed upwards. Suddenly, the void he passed through trembled and cracks appeared. Boom. In the next second, the attacks from both sides collided in the air. The black thunder continued to intertwine, and the two gritted their teeth. This was a terrifying collision. Although Whitebeard's injury has healed, after all, he has reached his peak, but he still cannot match an angry Kaido. The attacks from both sides were stuck, without the slightest retreat. After colliding for more than 10 minutes, the two separated, and the terrifying torrent of power disappeared with the overflow. The collision between Kaido and Whitebeard turned out to be a close match. At the back of the crowd, Jigen's forehead was sweating. This was not because he was afraid of the strength of the fight between the two, but because it was the first time he had seen such a scene and he was deeply shocked, and began to sweat due to the stimulation. Such a scene was the first close battle Jigen had seen since he traveled to this world. Kaido and Whitebeard separated, looking at each other. The two did not say a word. This turned the original battle of the great leaders on both sides into a high-level battle for the frames. The two sides began to charge and fight together. King didn't immediately join the battlefield, he was worried about Jigen's safety. He looked at Jigen and said, "Go back to the other side of the gate, it's very dangerous here." Seeing this scene, Marco felt depressed. Originally, he planned to snatch the gate, or even directly kidnap Jigen, but now it seems impossible. As long as he puts all his mind into the fight, as long as he can defeat Kaido's beast pirates, the result is the same. I haven't enjoyed a battle without injuring myself for a long time, Kaido. I will settle old accounts with you today. As for Jigen, although he really wanted to see this exciting and bloody battle, he also understands that his current strength is too low, and he cannot survive in high-level battles here at all. So he just needs to listen to King and retreat for now. Jigen now has a registered to become stronger system function. Sooner or later, he will be able to participate in such high-level battles and even become the strongest in the world. After Jigen returned to Onigashima, he waited for a long time before planning to reopen the gate. After a few hours, Jigen opened the magic gate. After the gate was opened, the bustling city behind the gate had long disappeared, and all that could be seen were ruins. Soon, Kaido's voice came from the other side of the gate. Jigen saw the return of the beast pirates and his face was full of smiles and pride. He walked to the other side of the arbitrary gate, and after some glances, he didn't see Whitebeard and the others, and asked curiously, "What about Whitebeard's pirates?" Kaido heard the words and laughed directly to the sky. Whitebeard's pirates fled with their tails between their legs. Whirro. Chapter 30, Celebration. The beast pirates won this battle against the Whitebeard pirates. Everyone in the Whitebeard pirates could only choose to abandon their island and escape to the sea. Defeating Whitebeard put Kaido in a good mood. A smile was always on his face, and he said, "Jigen, it's all thanks to your beans." Speaking of which, he seems to be thinking about Whitebeard's expression at that time, which makes Kaido laugh out loud. Jigen only wanted to respond, but Kaido interrupted him. He raised his eyebrows in jest. "But this is not the most pleasant thing for me. At the end of the battle, Maria was killed by two captains together. Then I gave her a bin in front of all of them, and Maria was instantly revived." Kaido's eyes were about to burst into tears as he said, "Can you imagine that old man's expression at that moment? It's so cool, it's so cool." Whirro. Jigen didn't know whether to laugh or cry as he looked at Kaido like this. Thinking about Maria being resurrected directly in front of Whitebeard and the others, Jigen could also imagine how shocked they would be and how helpless they would feel about this battle. In the end, they chose to evacuate under such helplessness. After all, they did not have a constant supply of senzubins to recover their physical strength and injuries. Jack was in a very good mood. King and Queen didn't react. After all, for them, the captains under Whitebeard were still inexperienced. The only one who could give King a battle was Marco, and even then, King had him subdued. Queen had several captains as opponents, including Ace, Vista, Diamond Jazu, and others. He didn't even break a sweat. As for the Tobirabo, Ulti completely let loose. If it weren't for the numerical disadvantage, she would have had a few casualties among those captains under Whitebeard. Ulti approached Jigen and thanked him for the first time since she met him. They were like cats and dogs ever since Jigen refused to give her senzu beans. Apologizing won't make your quota increase, Jigen said with his eyes rolling. What did you say, you bastard? Page 1 had to hold back his annoyed sister again. This is the first time we've faced this kind of battle without any damage. It's so comfortable. Black Maria twisted her spider-like body and approached Jigen, then leaned in and unabashedly kissed Jigen on the cheek with a ha-ha. Junior Jigen, it can be considered that you saved my life. I can grant you any request. Those fiery red lips were enchanting, and the clothes that had been damaged due to the battle didn't help. Jigen was taken aback by the smooth offensive, and his body suddenly trembled. Black Maria blinked at Jigen and repeated with even more charm. Any request? If this woman's body wasn't so deformed, Jigen wouldn't mind having a wild time with Black Maria. After all, who could resist such a flirtatious beauty? But looking at her physiological deformation, Ulti and Yamato seemed more attractive to him. So far, Kaido was suspected to be the only one who had been intimate with her. Jigen didn't even want to imagine that disgusting scene. No need, I'm glad that my inventions can help the Beast Pirates' cause. Jigen quickly dissuaded the idea that this woman had in her mind. Everyone greatly admired the senzu bin developed by Jigen, as well as the magic door. Thanks to this technology, they were able to fight happily this time and defeat the Whitebeard pirates without any casualties. After this incident, Jigen's status has become even higher in everyone's hearts. In a burst of laughter, everyone returned to the Ghost Island through the random door. Kaido closed the random door and then took it in his own hands. He first planned to use this random door for himself, then looked at Jigen and said, Jigen, this random door is an artifact that can greatly improve the efficiency of the Beast Pirates in all aspects. Not only in this aspect, but it also has a miraculous effect in battle, and is also huge in a strategic sense. One is really small, make a few more doors. Jigen simply patted his chest and said, Don't worry, Captain, these are small things. After Kaido heard the words, he was very satisfied, laughed and said, Very well, your bonus for this month is tripled. As for this door, I will take it first. Kaido smiled. I found Whitebeard this time, next time I will find the red-haired boy and give Linlin a nice surprise. Kaido laughed. I won't be bored in the future anymore. Worororo Jigen looked at Kaido and then said, Captain, I have no problem, but the cost of a single random door is 1 billion baileys. You must provide me with the funding you want. Kaido's laughter abruptly stopped and he suddenly felt a little embarrassed. One door for 1 billion baileys, if you want 10 magic doors, wouldn't it cost 10 billion? Moreover, the Beast Pirates have just acquired a batch of artificial devil fruits. Before this batch of weapons produced by Wano country is sold, the Beast Pirates naturally do not have enough funds. Also, even though they said they defeated the Whitebeard pirates this time, most of the Whitebeard pirates' wealth was on the Moby Dick, so there was no profit this time. Kaido said helplessly. Beast's pirates' consumption has been a bit higher recently, and it is estimated that there is no way to give so much money. Jigen also learned about the Beast pirates' wealth in the last month and shook his head. In this case, let me put it on hold for now. Captain, give me 10 million first and I will develop a new technology. When Kaido heard the words, his eyes immediately lit up. This boy will undoubtedly contribute a lot to his crazy plan against the world. You can tell me what you plan to develop this time. The people around also showed interesting expressions, wanting to know Jigen's specific technology from his mouth. Jigen laughed. This time he had decided to keep the suspense, raised his eyebrows and said, When the new technology comes out, you will naturally know. Chapter 31, Marine surprised on the Moby Dick. The atmosphere was gloomy and everyone was downcast. Ace clenched his fists and said angrily, Damn it. The Beast Pirates are too insidious. If they didn't have that magic bean, how could we lose to them? Sachi sighed. Technology is also a type of strength, there's no way. The morale of everyone around them was low, and the world's #1 pirate group has been defeated and reduced to a field where they fled. How could they not be depressed? Furthermore, many people were seriously injured. At that moment, the Whitebeard pirates were in a state of shame. Even to Whitebeard, Kaido abolished one of his arms. Fortunately, they had managed to snatch some bins from some of the Beast Pirates' boxes. In the high-backed chair, Whitebeard looked at his sons who were demoralized and said in a deep voice, Cheer up, everyone. No one died, what's the use of being so downcast? Whitebeard intended to boost their morale, since the Beast Pirates rely on that boy to become extremely strong, then we'll take care of him from now on. Even if it's very difficult to kidnap him, we'll snatch their research and development, just like how Marco got that bin before, we'll snatch them all. Anyone who can join the Whitebeard pirates is not stupid, and when they hear what he said, everyone understands what he means. Immediately, many people responded with vibrations to their father. That's right. The beast pirates have a turning point that depends on that new disaster. Without him, they wouldn't be so rampant. That's right. You're right, Oyaji. Seeing everyone regain their morale, Whitebeard also smiled. Gorrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr quietly. The words Jigen said before the battle came to Whitebeard's mind. Why did that guy say Blackbeard? Will desert, and also involve Sachi and Ace. Whitebeard pondered in his heart. But why Blackbeard? You have to know that Blackbeard is extremely discreet in the pirates, and doesn't even bother to fight for the captain's position. After joining the Blackbeard pirates for so many years, he has no sense of existence. With so many thoughts, Whitebeard finally decided not to pay attention to him. A grave mistake. In the crowd, Blackbeard also noticed Whitebeard's gaze, which made him panic. Since Jigen's words, Blackbeard had wanted to leave the Whitebeard pirates quietly, otherwise it would be too dangerous. By the way, how did that bastard know he was about to desert? Obviously, he is extremely discreet in the Whitebeard pirates, and doesn't even have a bounty. Logically speaking, he shouldn't. At that moment, Blackbeard hated Jigen so much. This time, the news of the battle between the Beast Pirates and the Whitebeard Pirates has gradually spread to the world. After all, the Whitebeard Pirates' lair has become ruins, and it's hard for people not to know. Until the news reached the president of World Economic News, newspapers that swept the entire world in an instant, and the news of the Whitebeard Pirates fighting with Kaido's Beast Pirates spread throughout the world. This news caused thousands of waves around the world, and people all over the world began to boil. The battle between the two emperors really happened. Why did it take so long to know something so big? Is that the point? The point is that the Whitebeard Pirates lost to the Beast Pirates. The Whitebeard Pirates are the #1 pirates in the world after the dissolution of the Roger Pirates, but they lost to Kaido? What, are you kidding me? This is also normal. It is rumored that Whitebeard has been plagued by old diseases, and the old era is coming to an end. People all over the world are discussing, and here at Maniford, Naval Headquarters, an urgent high-level meeting is being held. In the conference room, Sengoku's face was extremely surprised, and the other Navy executives had a newspaper, and they all looked confused. Wow! It's really incredible. Those two monsters contacted each other and fought a battle. We, the Marines, have no news. Kizaru looked at the newspaper in his hand and muttered with a wry smile. Kizaru rarely speaks seriously, which shows that the Marine News Channel has a big problem. Sengoku was calm and didn't say a word. When this incident happened, he, the Marshal of the Navy, did not know the news until after the incident, and his fault was very serious. Okainu, who was sitting in the front row, looked at the newspaper and pondered. After a while, he said calmly, "Do you think this matter is related to the new scientific disaster?" After hearing this, everyone couldn't help but look at Okainu. Okainu used his magma ability to light a cigarette and then continued to say, "Although the Marine's eyeliner has not yet penetrated the internal high level of the Beast Pirates, but Wanakuni and Onishima's external areas have our eyeliner. It is impossible that they do not know about something so big. As they did not report it, it means that they do not know it either. That is to say, the Beast Pirates contacted the Whitebeard Pirates in a relatively hidden way, so it makes sense. That guy can develop something like the Senzu Bean. It is not impossible that he has developed some other new invention. It must be said that Akainu has a terrifying perception. There is another basis for my assumption, that is, if the Whitebeard Pirates knew it beforehand, it is impossible for the Beast Pirates to fight in their own lair." Everyone froze in their hearts, although it was just an assumption, but this assumption has a high probability of being correct. Yes, if that is the case, then this natural disaster needs to be raised to a higher level of danger. Aokiji said with excitement. Indeed. Kizaru added. Chapter 32, Yasop gets Senzubins to Marine's eyes. Jigen had a high likelihood of surpassing Vegapunk's achievements in the field of science. As for the defeat of the Whitebeard Pirates at the hands of the Beast Pirates, Marine and other high-level players were not surprised. With the Senzubins in their possession, anyone who fought the Beast Pirates would lose and be consumed to death. After everyone discussed for a while, a soldier rushed into the conference room and told Sengoku, "Marshal, the 5 elders have requested to communicate with you." Sengoku quickly connected to this video call from the 5 elders in the conference room. As soon as the screen of the 5 elders appeared, the first elder asked, "Sengoku, what's going on with the contact between Kaido and Whitebeard?" It can be seen that the 5 elders are very angry about this incident. After the last incident, Sengoku suggested to the 5 elders that Marine should have intelligence in Wano. Sengoku doesn't believe that the Cypher Paul agent espionage agency hasn't continued to intervene with the beast pirates, but he wasn't in a position to say these things. Naturally, Sengoku couldn't say anything, so he had no choice but to say embarrassedly. "We, the Marines, don't know the details." Without exception, Sengoku's response was directly reprimanded by the five elders. "Sengoku, is Marines' intelligence network so weak?" Of course, the five elders knew it was enough. After a while of scolding, Street Saturno said, "We will send the Cypher Paul Zero agent espionage agency to intervene in the intelligence network of the beast pirates. I hope you can cooperate with them." Sengoku could only repeatedly respond, indicating that he knew. The Cypher Paul agent espionage agency has always cooperated with Wano in secret weapon deals, which is also a scandal that the world government wants to cover up. The objective has been achieved. After the five elders spoke for a while longer, they mentioned the matter of the senzu beans. For such a miraculous super drug, they are very attentive and pay close attention to this matter. After finishing speaking, the five elders directly hung up the video call. This made Kizaru feel very helpless, muttering, "Oh. I also want to increase my bonus. It won't work." Sengoku quickly dashed Kizaru's hopes. If this bonus approved by the five elders doesn't help Vegapunk with some development with the senzu bins, then they can all really give up. Everyone in Marine felt a headache. On the other side of the ocean, Shanks and others also received news. Looking at the reports in the newspapers, all the leaders were collectively surprised. Really? That old man was actually defeated by Kaido? Although Whitebeard is old, he won't be defeated by Kaido so easily. Moreover, the other captains are not weak either. Ben Beckman. Even Shanks was surprised. At that moment, Ben Beckman looked away from the newspaper, raised his head and said, "Captain, have you forgotten what happened last time? Now the beast pirates have this scientific disaster. The bin they developed can instantly heal wounds." Shanks and the others suddenly remembered something, and they all realized it suddenly. Ben Beckman lit a cigarette and expressed his doubts. "What intrigues me is how the beast pirates ended up in Whitebeard's territory. Generally speaking, it is impossible for Whitebeard to let him come to his own territory and run wild. Ben Beckman is the calmest person in the Red Hair Pirates and acts as a military advisor." When he said this, Shanks and the others were very perplexed. Logically speaking, it really shouldn't be like this. At this moment, an excited voice sounded in the distance, "Boss, I'm back." Everyone looked at Usopp with an excited face. They saw Usopp rushing to the front of the crowd, then sitting down and proudly extending his hand to show the crowd. There were 3 green bins in his calloused hand. Everyone's eyes lit up and Ben Beckman quickly asked, "This is?" Usopp interrupted proudly. "That's right. This is the rumored bin." After everyone heard the words, they all took one out of curiosity and looked at it carefully. "It doesn't seem to be anything special," one exclaimed. Seeing that he wanted to eat it and try it, Usopp quickly grabbed it and shouted, "This is a life-saving treasure, you idiot can't eat it." Shanks, Ben Beckman, and the others couldn't help but look at Usopp. Usopp carefully placed the bins like a baby, then touched his nose and said, "No matter how serious the injury is, it can be cured directly. Because of this, I really lost a lot of time looking for one." Ben Beckman asked in amazement, "Any injury can be cured?" Usopp smiled and said, "That's right." Upon hearing this, Ben Beckman couldn't help but look at his captain's broken arm. Chapter 33, Shanks' new arm. When Usopp was on a mission, he accidentally defeated troops led by a cadre of the beast pirates and harvested some beans. This made Ben Beckman curious, as this little bin is really famous lately, can it heal his captain's broken arm? After hearing the words, Shanks couldn't help but smile. He touched his amputated arm and said, "How is this possible?" Other cadre members also felt it was impossible. After all, their captain's broken arm was lost years ago. If this is possible, then the effect of this bin is too exaggerated. Not everyone took it too seriously, but Ben Beckman simply moved his fingers and put the bin directly into Shanks' mouth. Immediately, it turned into a green light in Shanks' mouth and entered his body. He didn't have time to react. Everyone couldn't help but wait a few seconds, but nothing happened. "Look, it doesn't work at all." Usopp also felt a little distressed, muttering in annoyance. What a waste of time. However, in the next second, a green fluorescence sprouted from Shanks' body, and everyone couldn't help but turn their heads to look at their captain again. "Oh my god. Captain, your arm. Your arm has grown." Others also saw Shanks' arm grow, and the speed of growth was exaggerated to the extreme. It lasted just a few seconds. This made everyone present stunned, and for a moment everyone was shocked and speechless. Shanks himself couldn't believe it. He raised his hand and clenched it, and then extended another hand to squeeze it. It was all real, and his arm really came back. It's really a miracle. This senzu bin is really amazing, And the person who developed this bin is even more amazing. As everyone continued to be immersed in shock over their captain's arm recovery, Ben Beckman once again had a whim. After puffing out smoke rings, he said, "Since this thing can restore any part of the body, can it still bring the dead back to life? Think about it, if fatal wounds of the deceased can be healed, then the body can regain its functions and people can come back to life." If Jigen were here, he would have to admire Ben Beckman for his supposition. I don't know if he has a novel idea or if his IQ is beyond the masses. Shanks just felt confused, so he didn't speak. If they're dead, how can they digest that thing? I think it's impossible to achieve. Someone said. Yusuf also nodded his head. Now there are only 2 bins left. If this is wasted, there will only be 1 left. He is really distressed. It's scandalous enough to be able to grow a lost body part from many years ago, but to resurrect the dead. This idea is too unrealistic. At that moment, one of Yusuf's men came to inform him that a crew member had just passed away due to his injuries during the encounter with the beast pirates. This made Ben Beckman want to try it out. He told the informant, "Bring that brother's body here." Lucky Roo, Yusuf, and others also know what Ben Beckman will do next, although they believe it is impossible to achieve, but since the captain did not stop him, they also did not say anything. Soon the body of the crew member was lifted, only to see that he had a huge penetrating wound in his abdomen, and it was because of this wound that he died. Seeing this, Yusuf wanted to persuade Ben Beckman to do it another way, but Ben Beckman had no intention of stopping. He said, "We can still find the beast pirates to keep grabbing, now we have to figure out the specific effects of these beans. This will help us make better use of them." After finishing speaking, Ben Beckman directly put the bin into the mouth of the deceased crew member. Like before, the fairy bin entered the mouth and instantly turned into a green light and entered the body. More than 10 seconds passed, the corpse still did not respond and everyone was watching in silence. Soon a minute passed, 2 minutes passed. The corpse still did not move. This disappointed everyone a little, and even Ben Beckman sighed helplessly. It seems that my ideas are a little too wild. Just when everyone gave up and planned to bury the body properly, a burst of green light suddenly surged from the corpse's body. This sudden change stunned everyone, only to see that the fierce wounds on the corpse covered by the green light began to heal rapidly, and soon recovered. Once the crew member's physical wounds were healed, he also began to move. Chapter 34, Linlin gets a surprise at this moment. Everyone present was boiling and their faces changed drastically. He really did this. Yusuf was stunned, shocked beyond words. Lucky Roo's favorite piece of meat fell to the ground, and he didn't even know it, dumbly saying, "Oh my god, am I dreaming again?" Ben Beckman doesn't know what to say at this point. Although he just guessed it, but now that this miraculous scene has actually been realized, it still makes him unable to digest it for a while. After a long while, he swallowed and said, "This scientific disaster is really amazing. Too much." Shanks couldn't help but murmur. What happened in front of them was something nobody expected. This turned out to be a super drug that could bring the dead back to life, which made one's scalp numb. They really didn't expect that the fairy bins actually had the effect of resurrecting the dead, which made everyone very surprised. This can no longer be explained by powerful effects, it is simply a miracle. Everyone waited a long time before digesting the scene in front of them, but the waves in their hearts could not be calmed. After a while, Ben Beckman said, "Shanks." Ben Beckman said solemnly, "No matter what happens, we must pay attention to the beast pirates. This has completely exceeded our expectations." Shanks also understood, his face became solemn as usual. Indeed, the Senzubans cause too much fear. If there are too many, the beast pirates won't be killed at all. Saying that, Ben Beckman looked at all his members and finally looked back at his captain. "I think we should change our focus now and fully target the beast pirates. Once we find them, we will attack directly. Take as many Senzubans as you can. If not, we will definitely fall behind the beast pirates, and be defeated in a large-scale battle." Shanks also thought about it. That being said, he said aloud, "From now on, we, the Red Hair Pirates, will fully focus on the beast pirates. Take as many bins as you can. At the same time, continue to gather information about this scientific disaster and investigate how the beast pirates appeared on Whitebeard's territory. This is also very important, otherwise, the beast pirates will suddenly appear on their chassis and they won't know how to protect themselves." Under the exaggeration of Morgan's, something usual, the Vinsmoke family of North Blue is also shocked by the recent turmoil in the New World. Kaido of the Beasts has been too active recently. Not long after the naval headquarters mutiny, and now he has gone to the site of the Whitebeard pirates to make another mutiny. What else is hidden here? On the other hand, in Whole Cake, Big Mom and a group of servants were equally shocked after seeing the newspaper. They actually had an encounter and fought, and received no news about this matter. They only found out after. You must know that Big Mom is the queen of the industry. What she is most proud of is her information channel. Did Kaido really defeat the Whitebeard pirates? Katakuri said calmly. It's not surprising. With the Senzu Beans, even we would be forced to flee with the help of the Senzu Beans. Katakuri has always been calculating, and no matter how much he tried to think, there was no future in which they defeated Kaido with the help of this deranged invention. Big Mom's eyes were cold, although I don't want to admit it, it's true at this point. The biggest question now is how that guy Kaido got to Whitebeard's territory. We can't even enter Whitebeard's territory undetected. After thinking for a while, Big Mom decided to ask Kaido directly in the simplest and rudest way. The Den Mushi rang, and soon Kaido answered the call, his playful voice saying, You Linlin have been thinking about me a lot lately. Kaido wasn't stupid, and besides knowing her perfectly, he knew that this old woman had been tearing her little brain apart in the past few hours, thinking about how he managed to sneak into Whitebeard's territory without leaving a trace. Big Mom sneered. Kaido, stop talking nonsense, you know why I'm looking for you this time. Kaido laughed, which made the anger in Big Mom's heart suddenly increase. Thinking that Kaido had hung up before, but thinking that the other party needed to answer the question, Big Mom forcibly suppressed the anger in her heart and said, Kaido, how did you get to Whitebeard's territory this time? I didn't hear any wind from my side. Kaido suddenly became proud again and said with a laugh. This is the credit of the arbitrary door. On the opposite side, Big Mom was a little stunned when she heard the new term. What did you say? What arbitrary door? Kaido's laughter became louder and he said. You can go to wherever you want to go, just turn the handle and you can go wherever you want to go, cluck, cluck. He said while drinking happily. Lately, the beast pirates have been the talk of the town, which made Kaido extremely proud. On the opposite side, Big Mom couldn't help having a black line on her face. Kaido, do you think I'm a fool? Big Mom believes that Kaido, this bastard, is deceiving her. She can go wherever she wants. How could such a thing exist? She wanted to say more, but Kaido hung up directly on the other end. Big Mom couldn't take it anymore. Damn bastard, you hung up on me again, damn it. This made her swear to find an opportunity to settle accounts with Kaido. Suddenly, a pink door appeared in the center of the hall, which surprised Big Mom and all the present children and servants. Cracker immediately summoned his biscuit armor, ready to fight. Anyone? Smoothie was also very cautious. Only Katakuri showed an expression of astonishment, and his eyes trembled violently. How could this be? Chapter 35, Big Mom visits Onigashima. Katakuri watched everything with his red eyes, observation hockey predicting the future. Was it Kaido who came out of this door? Just as Katakuri had predicted, the door opened and Kaido of the Beasts emerged from it and arrived in the interior of the hall. The expression on Linlin's throne froze for a moment, her mouth agape, and the expressions of everyone in the audience changed drastically. Kaido? What's the situation? How did Kaido get here? No. What's with this door? Everyone did not understand what was happening before them. Without any caution, Kaido appeared in their hall. In an instant, the atmosphere was extremely dignified. Why did Kaido go to the site of Whitebeard and they did not receive any news? Big Mom couldn't help but swallow, and said incredulously. Is all of this true? In the center of the hallway, Kaido entered the hallway, smiled, his haki was incomparable, looked at his old friend in front of him, smiled and said. Linlin, long time no see. Kaido entered the main hall and, after greeting Big Mom, Kaido went straight to her table, picked up the dessert from the table, shoved it directly into his mouth, and swallowed it directly. After tasting it for a while, Kaido laughed. Linlin, this dessert is good. I need to send some to Onigashima. If this were changed to the usual, this fierce woman would become furious. This is her dessert, no one is allowed to eat it, but now she has no head to worry about that. Big Mom grabbed Kaido's hand and said. Kaido, is this the door you just talked about? Kaido laughed. Yes it is. How is it? Surprised? Big Mom nodded and immediately wanted to experience it. Kaido originally wanted to refuse, but now face to face, he knew how stubborn his old friend's temperament was. Big Mom filled with joy instantly, and couldn't wait to get to the door in the middle of the room. With a face full of curiosity, Big Mom passed through the door, and the whole atmosphere suddenly changed. The bright atmosphere suddenly darkened and still thunderous sounds came out of her ears. Big Mom came here many years ago. Although there have been great changes, there are some skeletal buildings, but there is no change. This is Onigashima. She was really surprised. This is Onigashima? Behind her, the other present children followed their mother through the door and arrived at Onigashima. Seeing the scene in front of you change is like traveling to another world in an instant. Big Mom and everyone else were stunned. The function of this arbitrary door was too shocking, and even the cautious and always calm Kitakuri couldn't contain himself. It's too impressive. It's too exaggerated to reach thousands of kilometers away in an instant. Kaido also followed the crowd through the door and approached them. He was very proud. Linlin, how about our new research and development technology by the scientific disaster? Big Mom looked at Kaido and said. Kaido, let me see it, I want to know. Kaido directly waved his hand to refuse. The magic door you have already experienced. I can also give you some senzu bins. This is a favor I owe you before. But if you want to meet the scientific disaster of the beast's pirates, it will have to be another time. The importance of Jigen's security is very paramount. Now he is a little worried about losing Jigen. Without him, Kaido cannot imagine how the beast's pirates will be in the future. Stuck again in development. However, after Kaido finished speaking, he heard a loud sound of footsteps, as if there were thousands of horses galloping. Kaido, Big Mom, and the other members of the Big Mom pirates, along with their present children, couldn't help but watch as they saw the scene of Jack the Drought transformed into a huge mammoth. The crowd also spotted a person riding on his back. This scene directly shocked the Big Mom pirates. Could someone really ride on Jack? Is this the arrogant Jack we know? Who is the person on his back? I haven't seen them before. Kitakuri narrowed his eyes and said in a deep voice. Mama, maybe the person you want to see is this one. Kaido was left speechless when he saw Jack carrying Jigen on his back. He originally didn't want Big Mom to have any contact with Jigen, but now it seems like he has no other choice. The Big Mom pirates were surprised that someone was riding on Jack, but for everyone in the Beast Pirates, it has been a habit for over a month now, as Jigen is a treasure that everyone adores in the Beast Pirates. As he carried Jigen, Jack shouted. Kaido-sama, Kaido-sama, brother Jigen has developed a new technology. This sentence suddenly caused waves again in Onigashima, and members of the Beast Pirates came from all over, and even Queen, who was preparing to enter Udon, put her trip on hold for the time being, and King also came, feeling a little bored. After seeing everyone in the Big Mom Pirates, they were all stunned for a moment, but after seeing Kaido's boss, they didn't care too much. Everyone's attention in the Big Mom Pirates was on Jigen. Kitakuri's words made them think that the person riding on his back was probably the rumored scientific disaster. Everyone in the Big Mom Pirates looked at Jigen.